All right, this is you. Okay. And we're doing espresso. I want you and the home audience to see, since I haven't used my espresso in a while. Look what I'm doing. Look at the host that I am.
He's a really good
Properly
guy.
cleaning out.
That's really nice. You know there's a Leggero one of those, right?
What does that mean?
You know how each of the pods has like a weird like Italian title?
Oh, and is it named after? Is that a coincidence?
It's a coincidence. It's an Italian word that I think means like light.
Ooh.
And so it's like a light espresso.
I assume you brought one?
No, I didn't remember you had this particular implement.
No.
Listen, I'm just grateful to be here.
Nice. Very humble.
I am extremely humble. While you're away, I thought I maybe would talk about some of the different ways in which I'm humble.
Yeah. Put a little music under it.
Well, you know, humility is a skill, not a gift. So it's definitely something that I would say, mastered. I don't want to say I'm the most humble person in the comedy community or even the world. Do you know, Rick, that early in my career I was actually named one of Variety magazine's top 8 most humble comedians to watch. None of us wanted the accolade, but now that you brought it up and asked me specifically, requested that I talk about how humble I am.
About the accolades.
Right, but it felt sort of connected to the narrative, you know?
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, so I've been recognized for my humility. Do you know that I was just recently named Time Magazine's top 50 podcast guests to have?
Who else was up there?
Felipe Esparza was named 49 times.
It was you and 49 Felipes.
Yeah.
What number were you?
I was 50th, but I still was honored to be included.
Oh. I had a bit of a beard this morning before my shower. And, you know what?
Don't like that.
I
Don't
get
like that.
what you're doing.
Don't like it. Okay, I
don't
hear you.
love it.
I'm
Well,
so yeah.
trained.
I just wanted to keep it away from me, so I wasn't. Yeah, take it away from me.
I'll put it in phone so.
Oh yeah, I love it. What does that do? Take away the negative ions?
It's ultraviolet.
For what? For what is it?
They claim it to kill bacteria, like what dentists use on their.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know if it actually cleans it, but it does give me peace of mind. Whenever I get home, go ahead. I'll finish.
Yes.
Whenever I get home, I
Can I just
1 second, please.
If you wouldn't mind.
I'm going to get out of the way because I might forget.
Yeah, but I might forget my thing. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Dave, did my phone just ding?
No, that was mine.
Okay, good.
Or I had an idea. No, that was my phone. Hey, Goblins. I'm setting up a tour soon. I've been doing it a little bit here and there, but if you want to find out when I'm at your city, go to punchup.live/Rick Glassman and sign up for my mailing list. There'll be no spam. The only thing I'm going to use that for is because I'm going to find out what your email address is and what city you're in so I could email you when I know I'm coming to your city in case you want to get some tickets. Plus, I have some exclusive content up there you could see once you sign up for my mailing list. Again, there's no spam. The only purpose that I'm using this for is for when I go to your city, I could let you know, hey, come check out a live show. That's punchup.live/Rick Glassman. Sign up for my mailing list, and I'll see you in your city. This episode is sponsored by Magic Mind. I recently just opened a new box. Not only do I take them, my friends also really enjoy them. Do more, stress less. I think that's a good way of saying it's like you just feel good. Head on over to magicmind.com/TYSO for 20% off. And don't forget to use promo code TYSO20. That's 20% off at magicmind.com/TYSO and use promo code TYSO20. This episode is sponsored by Helix Sleep. Are you in the market for a new mattress and have heard me ranting and raving about this mattress that I actually use and a lot of my family uses for years now? Well, I got good news for you. Helix is offering 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows to our listeners. Head on over to helixsleep.com/TYSO and use code HelixPartner20. This is their best offer yet and it won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts meow. Keep saying that by accident. I mean now. Whenever I come home, I put it in there. That's the first thing. So it's always
and it's
indoor
sanitized,
clean.
and then you go get it when
Then
you're
I get
ready
it.
to use it. How long does it take to
10
take off
minutes.
the dookie?
10 minutes. Now, my Uncle Bob, shout out to Uncle Bob. Actually, let's meet him real quick.
I connect people's internet. Niche, specialized shit.
Telecom.
Geographic
Gotta do it
location. 211. Hey, now.
Hey, can Robert do a little bit?
Yeah.
Do a little bit Desperado, just for Robert, please.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Desperado.
We'll wait for the...
What? I can't do Desperado.
Oh, okay.
Stuff to do
Tequila
any song.
Sunrise.
No, I can't do any.
How about Hotel California?
That.
That's-
Let me take it from here for a second,
All right.
okay? You
Whatever
pick.
you want.
I want you to pick an Eagles song that you know, that Teddy knows, and I would love to hear it. You have a really good voice.
Yeah, come on.
I would normally need words that night. I didn't need them for tequila songs.
Doesn't matter. You make them up.
Yeah.
We'll do a little Desperado.
Yeah.
Desperado.
Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? You've been out riding fences for so long now. Now you're a hard one, but I know that you got it easy. These things that are pleasing you will hurt you somehow. Won't you draw the king of diamonds, boy? She'll beat you if she's able.
Slow down. Keep up with the rhythm.
You know, the queen of hearts is always your best bet. Now it seems to me some fine things have been laid upon your table, but you only want the ones that you can't get. Desperado.
Good too.
Oh, you ain't getting no younger. Your fame and your hunger, they're driving you wild. And freedom, well, and freedom, it's just some people talking. This prisoner is walking through this world all alone.
He's a great guy.
Wonderful singer too.
Yeah.
He said he used it. He's like, but Rick, it doesn't get rid of the smudges, like the fingerprints and stuff.
Right.
I go, Uncle Bob, it doesn't clean it like that. It gets rid of the bacteria, allegedly.
Have you ever done a test at all?
No.
So it's just a faith-based system.
Well, they have done third-party tests.
Okay.
So shout out to Phone Soap and Phone Home. If you got the extra money, it's a little bit bigger.
Well, yeah, because do you look at your phone in the toilet?
Of course, you look it in the toilet. Sure.
While you are inside of the toilet, while you swim in the toilet.
No.
In a large toilet, like a
No, I
large.
don't. On the toilet.
You don't go to Los Angeles toilet pool. It's a great time, and bring the kids.
What?
It's a pool. It's an Olympic-sized pool.
Oh, just a pool, yeah.
But it's a
Because pools are
toilet
like
also.
toilets. Right, because people pee and poo in pools.
Well, there's that as well, but it's also shaped like a toilet. And every hour they flush it, and that's how you leave. It just lands you back in the parking lot.
Oh, gross. No, but I do use it when I'm going poo and pee.
Yeah, and then you have to figure psychically or physically some of the dookie.
I always close the lid before I flush.
Okay,
I don't touch my phone once I start wiping. I put it down.
you put it down, and then you wash, and then you pick it up again.
Correct.
Okay.
I also have a set spot where I put my phone down in the bathroom, even when it's clean. There's a phone spot, which I
What
don't
about
put
a public,
anything else
what
there.
about a public toilet? Do you shit in a public toilet?
I don't go looking for a public toilet. But if
You
I'm
don't
out
leave
and
your
I have-
house to go shit in a public
I gotta
toilet?
go, and I just really don't want to go in my house. But pun not intended. Usually they're not.
Should I be wearing these? What are they for? You're not wearing yours.
I haven't. I feel like we haven't gotten into it. We haven't.
We haven't even
theme
started
music yet.
Okay, play the theme music. Scoosh. Wait, can I do that? I'm not allowed to do that, am I?
It's already playing. We can, like, title card is up. We can hear us underneath it now while the song is going.
I felt incredibly disrespectful when I went like
Buddy,
this.
no. That's why you're such a great guest. It's your humility that is getting in the way. Wait, hold on. It's about to come back. I can't just went to the lower.
Welcome back to Take Your Shoes Off with Rick Glassman. I'm your host, Rick Glassman, or Moshe Kasher. I'm your host, Rick. Oh.
Won't be able to hear me well.
Oh,
Yeah, there
Sorry
you go.
about that. I said, welcome back to All Things Considered. This is NPR.
So, I have to go poop. I'm out in public. I'm not going to be like, no. I've been in too many situations where it's been an emergency.
By the
where-
way, what if this was NPR and this was that was the bumper, and then it went back in on the radio? So I have to go poop, and I'm you're like, what has happened to NPR?
You listen to NPR, right? Because of your glasses and your energy.
You have the glasses and the energy.
Yeah, but yours is more NPR. Mine's more, AM radio.
Sure. I do listen to NPR, if I'm being honest. Yeah.
Why would you lie?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't.
So I had a beard this morning, as you can
remember.
imagine. And I've been I like to grow my mustache out a week or two and then grow my facial hair for 4 or 5 days like Henry Cavill. And then I have a couple of good days.
So the mustache is longer than the facial
Correct.
hair. I got you.
So it looks like a mustache with like 5 o'clock shadow or a little bit
that's
more.
nice.
My mustache isn't ready to just be a mustache, but I figured you would have a light mustache.
I'd have a light mustache.
Yeah.
But I trimmed it for you.
For me.
Well, I mean, I was getting ready for this podcast and I shaved. How old are you?
26?
Yeah. Are you
What?
26 for real?
Yeah.
No. No, you're not.
How? All right. Whatever.
Okay. Well, at a certain age, do you have
39.
any gray?
39.
You have any gray?
Yeah.
You're 39. To be honest,
Today.
No, you're lying.
Yes, I am.
Is this true? Is it your birthday, really?
No, but today I'm 39.
Oh, Rick. Let's go to Uncle Bob again and talk about.
Hey now.
Dude, keep doing it. Okay, and we're back.
He's a great guy. I mean, and a good singer.
He's a good singer.
Not great.
I don't like to talk about other people.
Sure.
I don't like to talk about uncles.
But I have some grays coming in, and it's worse on my beard. Right. So I have started shaving more fastidiously
Because you're feeling a little insecure about the gray?
Yeah, I don't want to. Yes. I don't mind it so much in my hair. I think it's distinguished, but in the face,
Makes you look older.
I feel like it makes me look older.
You also don't have that much in the hair yet.
That's true. I have my mother is. Let's go to my mom. She's 75. I would say her hair is 70% still brown. So I'm feeling good about that.
Good.
Like, it'll come in, but it'll come in slow.
I watched you talk about. We're talking about the gray in your beard. Feel an embarrassment. Clock if you're comfortable acknowledging it, and decided you were.
That's 1,000% what happened.
Yeah.
Well, I don't love. A thing does happen to you as you get older as a comic, where you start to, because you're always as a comic, I feel like looking for the thing that you can make fun of yourself about. And as you start to get older, you go, oh, I could go to that well, I could say, oh, I'm getting older well. And I hate that. I don't like, why? They don't need to be reminded of age or any. So I do have a self-consciousness, not about getting older, but about like revealing that I think I'm getting older. Does that make any sense?
It does make sense, but it felt more global to me of just about a type of person who feels an insecurity and decides I don't need to be ashamed of it, or I don't need to be secretive about it. It felt less about the gray hair and more about you feeling comfortable.
I could tell you two things about this.
Tell me one.
Damn it. Can I? Okay.
One.
Okay, then I'll tell you the nice thing. Actually, this is humble because the other thing was about me. This is about you.
Ooh.
I think actually engender a
Gulp, gulp.
ability to like be vulnerable in that way, because that's not what she said. That's what I said.
No, it was just
No, because it isn't what she said.
I wasn't gonna put you.
I'm me, and I was saying it.
you were saying something about my gender.
I was saying. It's not what she said,
No,
Rick.
please tell me.
No, but I think
Is it going to make me feel good?
I think so. I think you kind of encourage an honest vulnerability in a way, because you've got a lot of vulnerabilities. That's a part of who you are.
Well,
I mean, I know you do a bravado thing too.
what?
Come on.
I don't know even what.
What are you even talking about?
What are you talking about? So what was the second thing that you would have taken away if you were truly as humble as you pretended?
Well, I do also think that I think that instinct to protect yourself, to look cool, even though I want to be cool really desperately, that is a part of who I am.
Of course, subculture vulture.
Yeah. Well, it is the journey of my like sort of. In fact, the original working title of this book was.
May I?
You may. You throw it immediately into the fireplace. May I burn your book? The original working title of that book was Cool Points, because it was a part of, I think Subculture Vulture is a better title, but it was a part of this, like, I have looked back on my...
Making sure everything was going still.
That's good, that noise?
No.
Is that the noise of your recording equipment?
No, that's the noise of somebody shaving their pubic area outside.
Oh, they're your next guest.
Yeah.
Because it's coming in a little gray.
Yeah, their pubic area lawn is coming in a little gray.
There was a story that I told on my first album a long time
Are we
ago.
going to remember to get back to what we were saying?
Yeah, but it's about gray pubic hair.
Go on.
Where it's a short story that my first album was a mix of stand up and like written pieces, and
Was it called Snooze Fest?
no, it wasn't.
Where you go on stage and you go, all right, guys, now read this for a little bit.
No, it wasn't called that. Why would it be called Snooze Fest? It was a promotional album about my comedy.
I'm just picturing going to a show and then them being like, all right, I'm going to tell some jokes and then read this for a little bit.
Yeah, but it was an album, not a show.
So even more.
So you know that I put the album out to promote myself as a comedian. So
No wonder I haven't heard of it. Could you give me 1 sec? Just 1 second nap. Is this the vibrato?
I'm just saying calling it Snooze Fest would suggest it's a boring album and you shouldn't listen to it. Why would I do that?
When I was a real estate agent, I guess once you're a real estate agent, you're always a real estate agent. But when I was
Right.
practicing real estate,
It's like once you go black.
yeah, you're always an alcoholic. But on the back of my business card, no, it wasn't the back of my business card. It was something in real estate when I learned that you're supposed to under-promise and over-deliver. So if you say this album was going to keep you awake and make you laugh a lot, you got a lot of pressure on your hands.
Oh, but you call it Snooze Fest and they don't fall
People are
asleep.
like, well, no, I'm still awake.
I didn't sleep one time through this whole album. This
Yeah.
is great. Okay, that's a fair point. Anyway, there was a story in there called I think it was called like The Tale of the White Pube. Oh, Rick, forget it. Let's get back to my
no, please. I'm feeling good. The vibrato is kicking in. We'll be vulnerable later.
Vibrato is actually also a pod for the Nespresso machine.
Oh, yeah? I meant bravado, though.
Yeah, I know. You used it wrong twice, and I didn't point it out until this.
Yes, you did.
I did.
Yeah, you pointed it out, actually.
But the only reason I'm
very
lashing out,
passive-aggressively.
the only reason I'm doing that is I'm lashing out because of Snooze Fest.
Yeah, and look at how engaged we are now that we're not talking about that stupid thing
Can
anymore.
I just say, before you said Snooze Fest, this was a love fest.
Before you said snooze fest,
This was a love fest. That's, is it hard not to?
Sometimes.
She says so much.
Yeah.
So it's hard for her to not say it.
So you did an album called Snooze Fest where
Uh-huh.
you told some jokes and then you had people read some short stories.
Anyway, it was a true story of when I found a Rick, I can't do this if you keep doing the falling asleep bit. I don't even want to tell the story anymore.
Come on, you know I'm just making a joke,
No,
right?
Oh, I know that, but you know that in my mind, I'm like, this story isn't actually good enough to.
Now you get it. Under promise, over deliver. This story's not good. I'm sure it's okay. Let me hear.
Anyway, I found one day a white pubic hair. This is 20 years ago. That's how long ago my album came out because I've been doing comedy for a long time, longer than you, I think.
20 years ago, you had a white pubic hair.
So I was 24 and I looked into my pubes and there was a single white pubic hair sticking out.
Looked into my pubes.
I gazed.
What were you
I'm
doing?
sorry,
Did you drop your keys?
I don't know. Have you never looked at your own pubic hair?
I try not to talk about it, pubic hair.
That's not true.
Oh, really?
You brought this up. Can I do this?
Yeah.
Let's go back.
I think that might be somebody outside mowing their pubic hair.
That was you.
Oh, you're right. I remember now.
That's what he said. That's what she said. Okay, fine. It did sound like he was correcting me.
Yeah, it was. That's what she said.
Not he. Okay, so I looked and I go, I start panicking. I go, oh my God, I'm getting older. The grays are coming in my pubic hair, no less. It's the seat of my virility. Like this is, there's no more where your youth wants.
Seat of my virility.
Yeah, I talk like
You're
that. I'm
poetic.
an author. I'm an author.
Yeah, that's a good title.
Vibrato.
Real quick, your mom's 75. How many great pubic hairs does she have? We'll be right back.
I don't know. I don't look. I close my eyes when I'm down there.
Okay.
Just close my eyes and lick, Rick.
Okay. I don't know. That's not my brand, but I get what you're doing.
You're telling me your comedy brand isn't going down on your own mother? That's not your comedy brand? No. Well, my comedy brand is that, and you can find it and more in Snooze Fest, released in 2003.
You have my attention.
I'm awake.
So I've said that once to Ari Shafir because out of all the people I've had on this podcast, he's probably at least one of the most, if not the most person where I find him funny. I really, really like him.
Yeah.
He says jokes that are not for me. Uh-huh. And
You're saying you like the joke.
not. I'm going to remove my opinion. Maybe some, maybe not some.
Okay.
It's like it would be like a genre of music that I'm not connecting to, but I get like there's an audience for this.
Yes, yeah.
Not all of his stuff, just some of his stuff that's down a certain path. I feel like, and I said it to him once, it's like, that is not my brand. Like, I didn't want to even play back. This is not my brand. I don't love it. This is you. I accept it. I get that's your thing, not my thing.
One time I was in the Lower East Side in Jonas Schimmel's Knish shop. And
Jewish?
Well, this is the point of the story. I'm buying a potato knish in the Lower East Side. My name is Moshe Kasher. And I looked in I only had a credit card, and they don't accept credit cards.
Because it was Friday.
No, just they don't accept. It's an old school, like 100-year-old Knish restaurant. And I was like, all I have is a card. They're like, sorry, we're cash only. And
I think I saw this on Instagram recently. My mom sent me this.
What?
Sorry, not your story. This 100-year-old Knish restaurant. They're cash only or something.
It's a
like,
cool place.
Yeah.
And I was like, all I have is a card. I really wanted a Knish. And this guy walks up and he goes, hey, man, you're Moshe, right? I'm a big Ari Shafir fan. I'd like to pay for your Knish. And it was the most Jewish experience I had ever had in my life. And I grew up with ultra Hasidic family members surrounding me. This was the Holy of Holies.
Wow, that's so funny.
Yeah, it was really.
I'm a huge Ari Shafir fan.
I'll buy you a Knish.
Yeah.
I think he meant like I had done Ari's storytelling show or something like that. But it was so Jewish. An Ari Shafir fan buying me a Knish because I didn't have a payment method in a 100-year-old
Lot of
Knish.
layers.
There was a lot going on.
Yeah. And just goes to show you the stereotype. We're not cheap.
That's right. With each other.
Right.
We'll support one another.
I thought I heard something. I'm just checking it's still going. Okay, so you found her white pubic hair.
Okay, and I did. I really started to panic. It's told in much more detail in the Snooze Fest.
Oh, is that what it's called?
It's actually called "Everyone You Know Is Going to Die, and Then You Are, Unless You Die First." But I started to panic, and then I touched it, and it started to move, and I started to pull it, and it was long and silky and really long. And I realized, oh my God, this is not my pubic hair. This is someone else's hair. And then I'm like, why do I have a senior citizen's hair?
It was probably your mom's.
It might have been my mom's. And I go, why do I have a senior citizen's hair in my pubic hair? And then I realized, oh, these are the underwear that I bought at Thrift Town, the first class secondhand store.
And you didn't wash it?
I guess, well, I mean, that's the comedic twist, I guess, of the story. I don't know. But I used to buy my... telling them to calm down because they're laughing too hard. I didn't say it was an explosive comedic twist, Rick. I just said
Just the fact that you said it was going to bore me and put me to sleep. I was expecting to hear something boring, and then all of a sudden, you're giving me twists?
It's a twist that they're secondhand underwear. It's a self-effacing joke. I shouldn't admit that I buy underwear at a secondhand store. And I don't these days, but I did when I was 24. Wait, it's got different versions if that's what she said?
Yeah.
Oh,
and none of them are Michael Scott.
All right, I'm done. All the stories are done. Do you want to talk about my book's title?
Tell me more about Subculture Vulture.
About the book or about the title? Cool points. You said, being cool. I do think that there was a part of me as a young man that my journey through life was like to try to find out like how to kind of stay cool and find these like hidden universes in the world where there was like I keep describing this in the interviews about this book. Like, what books did you read when you were young?
I've said this. I've said this before, and
You'll never say it again.
I don't think I've ever finished a book
really?
other than one or two Goosebumps.
Oh, interesting. You weren't a reader growing up. What did you do growing up? Video games?
Magic the Gathering, video games, pottery class.
Pottery class? Mm-hmm. Are you good at pottery?
I try not to boast.
Oh, right. You're very humble
really.
about your
I just took
pottery.
Class
You were actually named in Variety Magazine's top 8 most humble,
biggest believe it.
pottery comedians to watch.
What's the difference?
Anyway, books.
Yeah, but although I have been getting into listening to them.
Oh, yeah? You got anything good lately?
Most recently, I have been listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger's Be Useful and Rainn Wilson's Soul Boom.
I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger at a restaurant once. And
Also Sarah Kubrick's book. We'll put up a pic, but go ahead.
I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger at a restaurant in Beverly Hills, and he looked at me, and he gave me this look.
We talked about this on the previous podcast, and I remember
I only have so many stories.
I remember this because it happened to me when I was getting an MRI with him.
Same thing, same
He
look.
looked at you say... Well,
I mean, I don't want to tell the
time.
same story.
No,
okay.
Nobody remembers.
He looked at me.
You didn't even remember.
And I'm the guy that brought it.
Yeah. He looked at me like, go ahead. Like he was doing you a favor.
100%.
That's how I felt about it.
I didn't feel like our improv game went well because I just stopped and I bailed and I panicked.
You're more of a writer.
Oh. There was a great comic. I can't remember his name. Maybe Patrick Keane. He used to have a joke. He would go, I think that's his name. He would say, I just got my headshots back. And it turns out I'm a writer.
That's good.
That's a good joke.
I had Arnold on.
Did you?
Yeah.
Is that a lie?
No. I had him on.
Real Arnold Schwarzenegger?
It will have just, I don't know when this comes out, but it came out second week of February.
Stop. First of all, my book comes out at the end of January. I'm going to need you to switch our episodes. Just scheduling wise, I need it to come out earlier.
He actually did commercials with me for that week's episode. I cannot switch it, nor will I.
Okay, let me ask you a really simple question. And I'm not saying we're close friends, Rick.
I'll be back.
No. But who are you better friends with, me or Arnold Schwarzenegger?
You. Who would I like to be better friends with?
Okay.
And I'm already better friends with you, and I don't think that'll go away.
Who would I choose if I could choose one person to be friends with? It's going to be Arnold.
Since I was a kid.
Let me stop you. I'm so curious. How did you get to him?
An old agent. I don't have an agent anymore. But we're still
You got
friends.
fired. You got fired. I remember. They said your skills had gone down and they fired you.
Sure, but the truth is, no.
Okay.
I left because without
No shade, we would say.
yes,
No shade.
I don't understand, at least in the position that I'm in at the moment, what they do.
Right.
I do have a personal appearance agent, which I actually just got within the past few weeks for stand-up. I'm going to start touring.
Cool.
I never did that.
You never done that?
I did like back when I was on Undateable in like 2015, 2016, and then stopped because I wasn't really selling tickets. And I hate traveling. And
Yeah.
I only want to travel if I could travel really well.
To do a good show and have a good time while you're doing it. You're saying
I'm
travel
saying,
at a nice level.
I'm saying whatever the show is, I'm saying I want to stay in a nice hotel and fly first class.
Okay.
And I couldn't do that.
Now you can.
I want to see because the podcast is doing pretty well.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway,
That's why I think I should be put. If you want the podcast to continue to grow, the idea.
drink milk.
I would say put me before Arnold because I'm going to give you a bump, like a big, huge bump, and then Arnold, your numbers are going to drop.
Let me see how many numbers our episode did.
No, please don't do this. This actually gives me great anxiety.
Great or gray?
Like great, like big,
Oh, like a big gray hair.
a big pew.
Moshe.
Oh, brother. This is
Came out 1 year ago. What do you remember when it was? Was it?
Might have
It's December 14th. So December of 2022.
Oh, is that right? 2022.
Yeah.
I hate this.
74.3 thousand. Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad. Anything that's under six figures
Is in the not bad zone.
for YouTube. Anything that's under six figures is not like I'm not going to think that they're going to do more than Arnold.
Okay, I'm going to guarantee you right now that when Arnold Schwarzenegger comes out, it's going to do 72 or under. That's a guarantee.
Okay.
For all time, I'm talking. Arnold Schwarzenegger is not a big celebrity. He's not a big get.
You don't understand.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
The people that are watching podcasts online are not the same people that grew up idolizing Arnold.
That is not what I'm saying. I'm making a joke. I think that's really amazing, and I'm impressed you got Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, but there is something too big, like A-list celebrities not making, unless they happen to be a good guest, but just the name and face value alone doesn't necessarily translate to people caring.
Nobody doesn't want to see you talk to Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be tuning in, and I hate the podcast.
Okay. Well, it's not that great. It puts people to sleep. I, like everybody else, 26 years old, my age, grew up loving him.
Yes.
And I had questions that I've been wanting to ask him for the longest time. It was unbelievable.
Was he like the most affable guy in the world?
He does something that The Rock does, but I feel like The Rock was
Did you have
told
The Rock
to do
on
it.
too?
No.
Okay.
No, but I feel watching The Rock nowadays, he's aware of his celebrity so much
Sure.
that he's like, is he running for president?
Right,
He's
right.
like being careful in certain ways.
There's this famous, well, not famous, but famous. Me and my friends talked about when Chris Hardwick interviewed Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise is just like, "Oh, I'm a huge movie fan," and Chris is like, "Oh, great. What are some of your favorite movies?" He's like, just all of them.
Right.
It's like you can't even answer. You're so famous and controlled. You can't even say what movie you like because you're afraid you might offend Barry Levinson.
He wasn't even allowed to say what country was the bad guy in the new Top Gun.
Is that right?
Yeah, they were when you saw them in the planes, they were covered. Put up a picture, like the goggles, and you couldn't see what color their skin was, and they refer to them as the bad guys. There wasn't like a thing. But Arnold, it feels like he does it with the right intention. It feels like he's doing it because like I don't like to talk about other people usually, right? Other than I got in a little bit of a beef with Will Sasso and things are okay now.
About George Carlin or something else?
Coincidentally,
sorry, hold on.
thank you.
Yeah, sorry. It's my first.
I'll be back.
Yeah, you get to the chopper.
Why does this keep stopping? If you're looking for just the right flooring, you need choices. And at Marshall Carpet One, you'll find thousands of choices, including carpet, hardwood, rugs, and luxury vinyl. So make the right choice and visit Marshall Carpet One and Rug Gallery. And we promise, with more than 50 years as a family-owned business, we've got you covered! So Will came on my podcast a while ago, and I wanted him. I do my dad's commercials for Marshall Rug Gallery, and
I've seen this. Yes,
and I do the voiceover still. Like I update them all the time for the commercials, and I wanted to do one where I wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger to do the voice of one.
the real Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No,
you doing Arnold.
Will doing Arnold. Will does just lots of impressions,
Sure.
and he wouldn't do it. But like instead of saying I don't want to do it, he would do it bad or do it as Trump or whatever. And I was getting to the point like, ha 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 ha, just do it. And he wouldn't do it. And he also was in a little bit of a mood. And then I was on a podcast with somebody, and I did something I've never done before and I haven't done since. I talked a little bit of shit about him.
Oh, interesting.
And it turned into a bit of a beef.
Did he wrote you and said, don't talk shit?
He took that clip and put it on his podcast and talked about it. And then I did back. And it
This
went
is like
on for a
rap
little.
beef a little bit.
Yeah. And it was
Beta male rap beef.
BMMB.
To be honest, though, Will's not
RB.
beta male. I mean, he's a big hunk of a man.
Will Sasso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't really call him a beta, I think.
People could call anybody they want a beta. It's really just
That's
a projection of self.
That's really interesting. And honestly, it's just, you can call anybody anything.
When people refer to me as a beta, I think to myself, oh, you think about who's the beta and who's the alpha?
Now that's beta behavior.
And that's great. This episode is sponsored by Helix Sleep. If you want to sleep like a baby, like you got a cute doggy in your bed so you're super comfortable, you could either get a cute doggy or you could get a Helix Sleep mattress. My family uses this mattress. I use this mattress. It's a fantastic mattress. Now, here's the fun part. Let's say you're like, yeah, okay, but how do I know if this mattress is good? Have it shipped to your door for free in a box that you could bring upstairs or wherever very easily. Open it up and try it out. Not for 1 month, but for 3 months. Ship the mattress back. Get all your money back for free. You don't have to pay for the shipping, and now you're good. And if you do love it, like me and my family do, you'll probably be like, oh, I think I'll keep this mattress. Helix mattresses come with a 10 to 15-year warranty. They have models with memory foam layers to provide optimal pressure and relief. And if you don't want to take my word for it, Helix has been awarded the #1 mattress picked by GQ and Wired Magazine. Like I said to you, I use the mattress. Head on over to helixsleep.com/TYSO and use code HelixPartner20 to receive 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows. This is their best offer yet, and it won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. That's right. So a big thank you to our sponsor, Magic Mind. To be honest with you, I use them like I walk by them. I keep them in my kitchen. I walk by, I'm like, ooh, I want one of those. I think it's one of those things that if you didn't know that you drank it or if you didn't remember, you'd be like, I feel really alert. I feel good. I don't know why. These things are definitely worth trying. And if for whatever reason you don't like them or you're just trying to pull a fast one, you can message them and say, hey, you know what? I didn't like these. And you get your money back. No questions asked. What that means is they won't be like, well, first answer these 5 questions before you get your money back. What it means is money back, dude. Let me read you a couple of things that if you were on the fence might help you feel a little bit more confident with your decision. They use the world's best suppliers. They require rigorous testing of every ingredient sent to them. They readily provide certificates of analysis for their ingredients for anyone who asks. They inspect every bottle by hand, and they test every batch of Magic Mind they produce in a third-party lab. So I have a question for you. Are you ready to experience the magic? Head on over to magicmind.com/TYSO for 20% off, and don't forget to use promo code TYSO20. That's 20% off at magicmind.com/TYSO, and use promo code TYSO 20.
That's classic beta behavior.
Now, what is the omega? Because I know
Omega
that
male?
Yeah,
Omega is better than alpha?
I think so, and I'll tell you why. Speaking of Tom Cruise, and what's that movie that I love with him and John Krasinski's wife, who I also love, and I'm not remembering her name. Emily Blunt.
Yes, you're talking about Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, great movie.
Such a good movie.
The omega is the one that, like, if you kill and it gets on you, then
Right.
you become no spoilers.
I
don't
actually
think, but-
I'm doing a bit right now on stage about becoming a gamma male, which is where I want to be like
like a grandma.
I want to be gamma male, a male grandma.
Right.
And that's where this country's going.
Yeah, all of our grandpas are transitioning.
That's right. We got to put a stop to that. It starts with story hour and it ends with your grandma is your grandpa now. That's what I want. That's what I talk about in the book.
Really?
No, not really. But how I and it's based on definite truth, which is my identity is I want to be both. I want to be like effeminate and masculine. I want to borrow from.
Well, you're doing it perfectly.
Thank you very much. But masculinity is something I love and think about often. And the things that I like to do are masculine, and the things that I also like to do are. Is this Snooze Fest? Is this Snooze Fest 2024? Anyway,
You know how I could tell you you're doing it well? If anybody were to not know you,
Yes.
and watch an episode of you guesting on Ari's podcast, let's say,
Yeah.
or even mine. Not many people are watching ours, but
well, at least 71,000.
so, and if someone were to say, "Do you know Moshe's gay?" People would be like, "Really?" And if you said, "Do you know Moshe's straight?" they would give the same response.
That's perfect. That's my sweet spot.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. And that's not an affectation. It's me. It's me. I am this.
Yeah, that's from The Greatest Showman, the
am
original
this.
title.
That's right. I am this, and this is an elephant.
Yeah, put up some pictures so people who don't know what I'm talking about get it. So I got into some beef with Will. Anyway, I forgot what the point of that was. You asked me something.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, our numbers, Will Sasso. I don't usually do this.
Oh, right. To talk about other people.
Yeah.
Other than Will Sasso. I don't remember what the thing was with Arnold. Anyway, it was awesome, and he is awesome.
Yeah.
And he did come in kind of like what we were talking about, where he's like, he knows he's in the higher status position. And then it just got really personal and cool. It's a really special episode.
Well, there's something cool. I don't want to talk about whoever that Arnold guy is the whole time because this is my time.
Yeah.
There is something cool about comedians.
Hold on a second, I want to show a clip from the Arnold episode. In Pumping Iron, you say that having sex is the same feeling.
Yeah.
The pump is equal to coming with a girl.
Yeah.
Could you explain what you mean? And
Well-
is that a metaphor, or do you sometimes actually have an orgasm in a weight room from lifting?
No, it's not like an orgasm. It's like the pump, because to me, I feel like this is like the coming, I feel so good. The pain gives way. It's like a sneeze. If you feel it, then you right above your penis.
A sneeze?
Yeah.
Where is Sarah Connor? You just show a clip straight up from Terminator. But there's something about comedians that if you do it right and you're not too nervous, because I've been so nervous around people that I'm not able to interview the person in a down to earth way.
Tell me somebody you were nervous.
Too short. I was like stammering, and because he's like what I listened
Somebody
to
who
when I was
wants to represent themselves as cool, and then saying the person they get nervous around is too short. Like, you got this thing down, dude.
Ask me again.
Who made you feel so nervous?
Serge Gainsbourg, Jack Kerouac.
Right.
No, Too
Are
Short.
you effeminate as well?
I Too Short. I had a hard time with.
Was he on the Honeymoon podcast?
He was on the Champs, and Neil just took over. It was funny because he's my childhood hero, and Neil is like from the East Coast and didn't really listen to him growing up. But I didn't not interview him, but I was more just like, so what's it like being you? But there is something that happens when you have a big celebrity.
Which was a question you had written down. Yeah. Like, just worst question, just bad question.
Did you think about me when in 1992? Where you get under they're used to Arnold Schwarzenegger, general celebrities on that level. They're used to people like from like Entertainment Tonight or like Access Hollywood with like the same list of 20 questions that everybody's asked them, and then all of a sudden you can see a thing shift in them where they go, oh, it's this kind of interview. I haven't done an interview like this in 20 years, and then it becomes like a human conversation, which is I think cool.
Which, with all humility, I have to say, I don't think there is a comedian podcast out there that does that better than me.
No, the button.
Oh,
Yeah, thanks. I wouldn't mind it. I am a beta
you have
male.
to snap first.
That's what she said.
Okay, it worked. Why does it work like that?
I set it up because we do a lot of snaps on this podcast, so I set it up that way.
Okay, so
So you have a book, blah 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 blah.
No,
anyway,
don't
Arnold
blah,
Schwarzenegger.
the opposite. Blah, 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 blah. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I have a book. And what I was saying is the books that I read growing up, and I bet they would have been the books you read too if you
Were able to.
if you were literate when you were a child, were
I had a learning disability, but you know,
I had a learning disability too, and it's discussed in the book.
You're just talking about drug abuse.
I had a lot of stuff going on when I was a kid.
I know.
I had.
I read your first book every night before I fell asleep.
That's not called Snooze Fest.
No.
But I had. What did I have? I had oppositional defiant disorder.
Do you like Kendrick Lamar?
I do like Kendrick
Because I
Lamar.
was going to suggest, as you're listing all of your things, to be humble.
That's not. You think that's a brag? I guess in a way it is. Honestly.
Yeah, people brag about. Oh, really? You sprained your ankle? I broke mine.
Yeah.
You know, people do that.
I
stuff.
used to have a bit. It never quite went anywhere, but about like ex gangsters, the way they talk about themselves is always the same. They always say some like incredibly gangster shit, and then they go, "I'm not proud of it." It's
Right.
like you seem extremely proud of it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of like how in the NBA they've learned how to answer questions
Yeah.
to be a certain way.
everybody in LA was scared of me when I walked in a bar. I've taken human life. I made over 70 million flying cocaine over the Mexico border. Not proud of it. That seems a lot like you're proud of it.
Yeah, but it is a good mechanism to get to say stuff that
It's false humility.
I have an analogy to that.
Yeah.
And it's when you go into it, I'm a good piano player. Excuse
Yeah?
me, I'm a great piano player.
Is that true? You're a great piano player?
I haven't played in a little bit, but yeah,
Interesting.
I have relatively perfect pitch. I'm brilliant, and
Brilliant?
I'm not proud of it. But if you want to play and this is something I've noticed more as a trope, not really something. I mean, it's like it's in movies, and it doesn't have to be with piano. But like, if let's say I'm at a house party and there's a piano, I can't just sit down and play the piano. I can, but then that's not under promising, over delivering.
Right.
What you would do is you would want to get somebody to ask you if you play or to play.
How do you elicit that?
I'll do it by.
You just stand by the piano and
I'll do it with a
this?
Rubik's Cube. I'll do it with a Rubik's Cube now. I'll show you what I mean. Because I don't have a piano in front of me and I want to do an actual act out. You would do something like this. And you would start smaller and then go on. Let's say I'm at your place, right?
Okay. Well, I do have a piano in my place.
Cool. But again, I want to do what's on screen right now.
Yeah, that's fine. But your listeners aren't stupid. They can imagine that I have a piano
But
in my
I just
place.
feel the act out. I could do that same thing with a Rubik's Cube at the
No,
moment.
I know, but I'm saying connecting to the story about pianos, I happen to have a piano at my
So
place.
I would go and I would touch the piano.
No, do the Rubik's Cube.
Great. So this is
So
your
we're,
this is your
we're at my
place.
house. I have a Rubik's Cube at my
Right
house.
there. Right. You have it right there. Right.
This is my house.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's your house.
Buddy, I don't know if you're trying to create obstacles, but I feel like I set this up a minute ago, and you're just making it lag.
I'm just having some fun over here.
If this were a clip, I would be trimming a lot out.
Okay, fine. Let's go to Uncle Bob.
I connect people's internet. Niche, specialized shit.
Gotta
Geographic
wait.
location. 211. Hey now.
So I would do
great
something
guy.
like this. You have so much stuff here. What is all this?
Oh yeah, that's
awesome.
this Rubik's Cube.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love those.
that's your cold brew.
Gulp.
Now, what I did was I pimped out. I love those for you to say. Oh,
I
do
love
you do
those. So you might say, oh, is that a Steinhauser?
Yeah,
Oh.
or I would, this is beautiful. And then if you were like, do you play? Now I'm in. Otherwise, then later I would like push it like. So many pianos. I go to people's houses and like they're not tuned. I could tell that you obviously play this sound, and then do like a little something, a little lick, and then walk away from it.
Oh, you play as well?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But I just love. It's just I'm so excited to get a house that's big enough to where like I just want to have a beautiful piano like this. It's just gorgeous.
Are you any good?
Yeah, I mean, I loved. I don't know. I love to play the piano.
Would you mind playing a little something?
Yeah, I guess I'm feeling a little embarrassed.
Please don't be embarrassed. Literally, there's no one here. I invited you over to seduce you.
Okay, yeah, I'll play something. Now I'm in.
Yeah, and now I'm in.
Yeah, and now I'm in.
Because your back is turned, and now
Yeah,
I'm in.
I was making the same joke.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Are you straight?
Really? Who knows?
Right. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
You're straight.
I don't like to talk about other people.
It's not. That's definitely not what that is.
Sure.
It's you.
Listen, am I straight?
How's your dating life?
It's personal.
Okay. We can move on.
Okay.
You know what else is personal? My new memoir, Subculture Vulture, a memoir in 6 scenes. So what I was saying...
Link in description.
Yeah, link in description.
Now we recorded this a few weeks ago at least, but
How's it doing?
not as good well as Arnold. Not as strong as Arnold.
God, he is strong.
But I do want to put this in a commercial in next week's episode, and let's do a little commercial that we could throw in there.
Sounds good. Hey, everybody. It's me, Arnold. I just wrote a brand new book. It's called Subculture Vulture, and it's going to pump you up.
When you say pump, you have to say pump, and then you have to like slap your chest or something.
And it's going to pump you up. Hey, it's Moshe Kasher, and I just wrote a book. It's called Subculture. You like this? It's more genuine.
This is, people aren't going to understand why is he doing an Arnold.
Right, a callback to an episode that hasn't been released.
Yeah, the Arnold episode's not out yet. But
No,
also,
no, the
I guess we'll
Arnold
also do a
and our
commercial.
episode.
Arnold episode coming out the second week of February.
By the way,
Very excited.
Not only is the Arnold episode not out, but the episode where I'm on the show talking about the Arnold episode also not out. Hey, it's Moshe Kasher. I'll be on an upcoming episode of this very podcast, but you can get my book right now. It's called Subculture Vulture, a memoir in 6 scenes. I'm super proud of it.
But what I really want to let you guys know is you could be many things. Make sure you're at least useful.
Well, listen. Tell me that book. Would you rather have? Let me ask you one question. Would you rather
I don't wanna
have?
throw it.
Because it's Arnold. It deserves more respect. Would you rather have 7 tools for life
Whoa, everyone, calm down. He hasn't even given the other option yet.
or 6 scenes?
What are you, George Bush?
A memoir in 6 scenes or 7 tools for life?
Buddy, you're upside down.
This is a good commercial. I would say this is the best
I'll be
commercial.
back.
We'll be back. Subculture Vulture.
And we're back.
Oh, wow. You have an and we're back.
Yeah,
I would wear that.
I'll get you one.
I would wear that. Yeah, it's a cool hat.
It is. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it is.
We'll be back.
We'll Be Back is the name of Will Sasso's new memoir where he mostly talks shit about you.
Behind my back.
No, it's a book, so it's definitely available.
I actually one of the last times I talked about that beef was with Dan Soder, and Dan said that's silly. Like he got it, and he was on my side, and he goes, "You should have him back on and talk about it." And I said, "Yeah, I'll have him back on after I have Arnold." Saying because he wouldn't do the Arnold, so when I get Arnold, I had no idea that the Arnold.
Oh, that was a full riff.
Yeah, I had no idea. So my old agent, who's still a friend, reps Arnold, and I made a video.
You had the same agent as Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
That's a good agent.
Yeah, that's probably why I left.
Interesting.
What is he going to do with me?
My agent represents the Noid from Domino's, 1989.
Okay, all right, calm down. It's funny. He's not that funny. All right, okay.
That's a comedic twist right there. Hey, buddy. I've been trying to avoid this guy.
Avoid the noise. Snap again.
Anyway, I think the book
$800.
that cost $800 to license the Noid. That's wild if he's still getting $800 for an appearance fee.
Well, how do you think your agent's paying his bills?
On Cameo, with my cameos. Are you on Cameo? No, me neither. Me neither.
No?
You ever think about it?
They've reached out to me numerous times.
Yeah, duh. That's what they do.
Yeah. And I have, but the truth is, one, I don't want to have to do that. It's like somebody sends me something, now I have to do it because they paid
Sure.
whatever. And I'm not saying I'm not for monetizing things.
Right.
But like, people send me messages and I don't do it often, so don't take this as an invitation. But sometimes I'm a fan of this, or it's I'm going to be the best man in the wedding, whatever.
Get that, yeah.
And if I connect to it and I'm in the mood, I'll do it. And I'm not going to do it for $100. I'll just do it because it's fun and funny and they might like it. So, no, what would you say? No, like if you're not speaking badly about something.
No shade.
No shade. But I don't know if it's for me, but I'm not saying I would never do it.
Yeah. I hear you. It is a fun game to go look at what your friends are charging. Like certain people charge an accurate amount. Certain people
What's accurate? Anything more than $20 feels insane to me.
Well, it just depends on who you're looking at.
Yeah.
But
I could never do it for less than $100 if I were going to do it.
Right. And also you would be, even if you couldn't command 100, which I'm not saying you couldn't, I'm sure you could, but if you couldn't, you would be too embarrassed to put yourself at a $20 rate anyway. No?
I just wouldn't want to. charging more isn't just about getting more; it's about having to do less, and that equilibrium
Right.
of like it still is worth it. And if I could make twice as much at $20, but have to do 5 times as many,
I hear that.
Which, or I guess technically 10 times as many, but I don't want to.
No, I'm with you. But I have seen people that are their fee. I think this is a bold move. Their fee is deliberately absurd, so that
they
they'll
can
never
say-
have to do it. But if by some weird chance once a year somebody's like, all right, I'll do the $5,000 Rick Glassman thing, and then you're just like, great, a 1 minute video. Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. But then that 1 minute video, you use all that money for production,
Production
value. Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
You get the Noid 5 times.
which is actually very, that would be $4,000.
Yeah.
Which is very
Yeah, take $1,000 for yourself.
Yeah.
You deserve it, man.
Also paying the editor. A great idea for like a way to finance short films in a way where it's very improvised. Where it's like, he does $20,000 cameos, but each one is a short film.
That's really
and
cool.
they tell you what they want your
it's
short film to be.
How about a feature length? I'm going to send you a 90-minute cameo. If you pay my fee, I'm sending you a 90-minute cameo that
A great idea for a film.
Yes.
If you could make it feel like that it really was a cameo.
The full 90 minutes.
I think that's too far to the point where it's unbelievable. I think a short film, but not like a minute sketch. I think like a
you
10,
go
20 minute
write
video.
it and you really take it seriously, and that's what you deliver.
But you have people send in these things, and you pick a real one. Like
Right.
it's real. It's like young storytellers. Have you ever done those? It's great where kids will write stories, and then they have
I'm out.
okay. Celebrity come celebrity, but like
They'll
me,
have celebrity come. I knew Hollywood was like this.
Okay, all right.
Okay. I told you I'm not a
Warm it
beta.
up.
Told you I'm not a beta male. I knew Hollywood did this kind of. So you guys use celebrity come for children's storytelling.
yeah, but they wrote it,
Okay.
and you go up on stage and you perform their stories with
that's
them or
cool.
for them.
It's how do you perform it? You read the story.
Yeah, so you go in and they have something written, and then you go up on stage and like it would be you, me, and Tony Cavallero, and we would we would turn their young storytellers into a play, and we would make it. But they're like a couple minutes long.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that.
But like to get a whole bunch of cameos and to either choose one or take an amalgam. Am I saying that word right?
An amalgam.
An amalgam.
I believe I'm right. Write it in the comments.
Take a whole bunch of different ones and use
An
that.
amalgamation.
Yeah,
An
it's a
amalgam.
derivative.
An amalgam. I think I'm right here.
It's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, amalgam in the middle.
Sorry, just
No,
I'm a winning dramatic actor.
not
and
a big
people
deal.
forget I don't do jokes.
I
do jokes,
completely
too.
understand. I adjusted my Emmy today before I left. The Emmy that I won.
What was your Emmy for?
I did a roundtable. I hosted a roundtable called "Recipe for Change: Standing Up Against Anti-Semitism." And
Yeah, you did that with some other Jews.
that's right.
And that's not a blanketed statement.
And
I'm
that's
just saying
that's
that
the kind of language that we're trying to stamp out. And your blanket fell,
it was not a blanketed statement.
but the blanket actually physically fell. Is that a physical bit you just did? You are. Calm down. Okay, he's good. We know he's good.
So you won an Emmy.
Yes, I did win an Emmy. It was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
It was fun. I went to a lot of funny things happened on the way to the
You're
forum.
so humble. How far in are we? We're probably, I don't know, 50 some minutes in.
And
before
you
brought up your Emmy.
adjusted your acting awards 7 times before I even mentioned the Emmy.
Yeah, I never said I was humble.
Yeah. So we went to the thing. Speaking of humble, I was humbled. I was very humbled by this.
Right.
We went.
Who
to
else was it? Was it Nick Kroll and Moshe and what's the guy's name?
Are you just naming Jews?
Who's the guy that everyone thinks is Jewish, but he's not, but he's great, and I love him, and I'm not remembering his name for some reason.
Oh man,
Radio City Hall,
John
Saturday Night
Mulaney?
Live, yeah.
What?
He's like one of the greatest stand-up comedians right now.
He's a
and
great
I just forgot
comedian.
his name.
His name's John Mulaney, but I don't know that he's often thought of as a Jewish
I
person.
feel like-
he did the thing with Nick.
Right.
Too much tuna. What the hell?
Too much tuna.
Well, that was their bit.
Yeah.
He blurbed my book, and Nick blurbed my book. They both blurbed my book.
I feel that John Mulaney is to a feminism. John Mulaney is to Judaism as
Okay.
you are to feminism.
Femininity.
As you are to femininity.
Yeah.
Where people are like, What is going on with that?
So you go, he's not Jewish. Really? He's
Yeah.
Jewish. Really?
When people find out you're married to a woman, they respond the same way when they find out that John Mulaney's not Jewish. They go, "Oh yeah, okay."
Okay, I wouldn't have definitely said
Yeah,
that, but
I
I'm
believe you.
I'm not shocked.
Yeah.
It feels possible.
Yeah.
Wait, what were we saying?
You were talking about the round table.
The Emmy. So we
Right, Miami.
Miami. So there I am in Miami. Speaking of Jews, every table in Miami is a round table of Jews.
Okay. I didn't think you'd find it, and that's on me.
Yeah.
That was good.
You thought I was going to fail.
I was going to ask right after, like, we can edit that out. Like, it's like you made a character choice, and the engine died, but you glided down with the safety.
And then I just like step off the snowboard. I'm like, no, I meant to do that.
Yeah.
It was asking who the other hosts were.
Yeah.
Who was in the round table?
Yes.
The other
Both.
hosts, there were 3 dinners basically with Jewish chefs and then a host. It was Alana Glazer, Adina Menzel, and me. And then there was a lot of people on the panel.
But you were the only 3 who won an Emmy.
We were the only 3 hosts. The hosts were nominated and the producers
Next
were
time you
nominated.
do something that could win an Emmy, just so I could have something else to fix on my side table, will you invite me to be part of it?
Yes, of course. I would have invited you to be part. I didn't cast the thing, but you would have been great on it.
Thanks.
I mean, you have a take on your Jewish identity, right? Yeah.
That's we're on, I don't know, what is this, episode 249, but it's all
never come up.
Yeah, it hasn't come up until today. Let's just say if I were out of money trying to buy a kanish, there'd be enough people who would be like,
They would
I
step up.
like somebody who you remind me of. Not you, but
So we get to the Emmy ceremony, and I'm with Natasha, my wife, and I'm walking down the red carpet, and they're taking pictures of us as a couple, and then they go, Natasha, can we get a few of you, just singles? And I'm like, hey, I'm the guy. I'm nominated. It's me, not her. Are you trying not to laugh, or what's happening here?
no, I'm looking at your soul.
And like I'm used to that. By the way,
That's a great thing to admit.
Well, no, but I'm used to it. Like when I'm on a red carpet with Natasha. By the way, red carpets, you'll agree. Maybe you like them. They're the worst thing. They are the worst thing to me.
There's 2 types of red carpets. I'm talking about 2 categories. There's taking photos, and then there's doing video interview.
Right. Yes.
Which one are you
We're
talking
in the
about?
photo zone right now, right?
It's uncomfortable.
Super uncomfortable.
I don't like it, and I do them because I am hoping to get a good picture.
No, of course. And you're supposed to do them, and you know that you're going to be a little humiliated maybe when you go. And when I'm with Natasha, I'm not ever going like, "Hey, I'm a entertainment guy too, like over here." But this one,
She was your guest.
She was my guest, and they go singles, and then I go to our handler. I go, I'm the one that's like
That term is so degrading to both the handler and the talent.
and the handled.
Yeah.
And I go, and they don't know who I am either. The handler, know, they work for like the academy. I go, I'm the one that's I'm actually the one that's and Natasha's over there just like posing and like loving life. And he goes, or she goes, oh, no problem. We'll go back. And I go, I don't know if we need to, but I am the one that was nominated. And it would be kind of good to get just pictures of me without my fucking wife.
Funny to be nominated for a thing about anti-Semitism while being the most nebbishy on the carpet. Well, we don't have to do it again.
We don't need to go over there. I mean, it would be nice. In some ways, it would be nice to get a single of me. I mean, I got a nice face. So she pulls me back.
The handler.
The handler pulls me back to the beginning of the carpet and goes, we'll do a few of, and the photographer is like, no, we're good. Like, no, we did it. And just like shoves me. It's like super humiliating and hilarious. Then we go sit down and our seats are not at the table. Natasha and my seats are not at the table where the production is, right? So all the producers who are also nominated are at one table, and we're at this other random table. We're sitting.
Are the other hosts, Adina Menzel?
Nobody. I was the only one that came. They're both in New York, and this was in LA, and I don't have as much going on as them, so I was excited.
I remember seeing a clip when they called her name.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazim.
Yes, that's her. So we're sitting at the wrong table, right? We're next to like the like video editor from like Hot Rod Nation on Netflix, But there's 2 seats open at the table where I'm supposed to be.
The way you said that, you need to say no shade.
No, and by the way, there's like 2 seats next. So we're sitting by like the video editor of like Hot Rod Nation on Netflix,
Which is awesome. You don't even belong. I don't belong at that table.
No shade, but no shade, and no cap. as well.
But I would say maybe a little bit of more shade in the back seat because the windows are tinted. You can keep it in, but I'm just riffing. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
That was like my Miami riff, but it didn't
No,
work.
yours was good. Oh,
So,
okay. All right.
I don't know. Zing.
Being mean on you is just unattractive.
Okay, sorry. I take it back. So we go over to the two seats that are open on our table, right? And we're like, oh, there's two seats over here. There's two seats over there. Maybe
Right.
we'll just sit with our table with the people that are. So this guy comes over and he's like looking all demonstratively at like our seats and his.
Also, it's not lost from all the momentum that I swept away as I continued to interrupt. But this is right after you being told we don't need any more pictures of you. Like this is all.
It's all
in
of a
synchrony.
kind.
Yeah.
So he comes over and he's like looking all at the table, like, "Ugh." And we say to him, "Oh, we were sitting over there, but this is our production. Like, if you want your seat, we can go back, no problem. But we just thought,
And the two people are random. They're not part of this
they're
production.
not a part of the production. It's one guy."
And he actually happens to be with the Hot Rod Show. But
I don't even know what he was from, but he was like, and I go, we'll move back over if you want, but we just wanted to sit with other people. He goes, oh, well, thanks a fucking lot for telling me where to sit. That's really nice of you. Like at a 10 out of nowhere. And we're just like, we literally said we would go. Like there's no, and he just like huffs off and goes and sits down. He's like giving us dirty looks the whole time. So, and he becomes like a joke at our table. Where
Right.
like when the hosts come on, it's the daytime Emmys. So
tell
the
me you acknowledge him during your acceptance speech. And a big thank you to the guy who let me sit at the table.
It's worth it. I'm that petty. So he sits down and he's huffing and puffing, and we start joking. We're like, he should be the host. Like this would be, whatever. He's just like a character in the afternoon. And then it gets to our segment or whatever, and we win. And I would say I'm really over the moon. I'm really happy and honored, honestly. Not only that, like I have this thing. It's so cool to have a thing that they can't take away from you. It's like I now have won this, and it is mine, and it will always be true. But
I've said that exact thing about trophies before.
yeah.
There's something about a trophy where it's like you can't even if people disagree. Look at
Yes, it happened.
Yeah.
I was the best piano player at that party. Yeah. But I would say 30% of my joy this is how petty I am, was about being able to celebrate with that fucking little bitch watching. And I was just like, that's right, motherfucker. Emmy Award winner, bitch. We won. It was
there
worth
something
it.
about that feeling like to you, even though it was that guy that was mean to you, I'm a somebody or I'm good enough? Like,
Well, I can tell you on a real, this isn't humility, by the way, because there's a difference between humility and like bad self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
There was definitely a part of me when I went to that ceremony and just when I found out we were nominated, that was like, we aren't going to win because I am nominated. Like, you know what I'm saying? You might not share that, but that kind of like the fates are not with me. And the fact that I was nominated is the death knell to this thing winning. Does that make any sense?
it makes sense.
It's not real, but it's...
Do you feel that way because you're not a big enough name to win, or you're not deserved?
It's more metaphysical than that. It's like the universe cannot conspire to allow me to win in this way. Like the fact that I was implicated in the nomination is the reason that it will not happen.
I know this is a reach, but I think about this stuff all the time. Do you think that same part of your psyche is connected pretty directly to the person that wants to sell himself as cool?
Oh, you mean the cool part is the defensive outward.
I don't feel that
penetrative.
I'm cool. I don't feel I could win an Emmy, so I need to.
Sure, I don't feel like
that.
I'm a man enough, so I will get into. I will do things that are masculine. Sure, everything is like that, right? Everything is. I mean, unless you have like a perfect amount of self-esteem, a lot of the things that you participate in are one part thing you love and one part thing you're compensating for.
I mean, it's on the table. I'm not connecting to that yet, and
Well, you might have a really healthy self-image. It might be actually unhealthy, but
I understand
but
what you're
positive.
saying.
But in the positive.
But the reason wasn't necessarily I'm not connecting to it with myself as much as like I'm not quite visualizing what you're saying yet. So like, let's use stand-up for an example. I can understand some people want the validation. Some people want a way to express their voice. Some people want to make people happy, and lots of things. Some
Yeah.
people want to have be able to play. Some people want to make money working at night. Whatever the things might be. The double-edged sword of that, and I'm asking you, the part that makes sense to me is that part. Like I like being funny. I like blah, blah, whatever your thing is. The other side is the overcompensation or whatever. What would that be in stand-up for you, for example?
well, I think that stand-up.
Even though you're more a writer, I guess, than a performer, but
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
I actually felt bad saying that just now. I said that earlier where I was a writer and I was making a callback.
It was more fun, and it was more of a blade.
Well, because I meant that zero. It's
No,
just
I know,
because
I'm
I'm
joking.
actually wanting to have this vulnerable conversation, and I just made a jab as a joke.
Well, it's connected to what you're talking about. It's like, you get to these things that both are who you are in a soft way, and things that are who you are in a jabbing way. Like you compensate. Like everything is layered. Everything is a stack of.
But that's
who
not
you
compensation to me. For example, if that hurts your feelings, that would have been a bad thing. If you laughed at it, and or best case scenario, you just understood my intention when we were on the same
Right.
page and laughed, then it was great. It's just
What happened instead was it was a joke that I understood and acknowledged, but also acknowledged, much like all of the listeners, that it wasn't well executed or funny. And
No.
so it fell
No.
in a way that was painful for everybody.
no. And now you're overcompensating because you couldn't sit in that real thing.
Okay, so stand up.
Yeah. Tell me, what is your other edge of the sword that is the overcompensation?
I mean, it's historical. And the compensation for stand up specifically is historical and is connected in a great way to what I'm talking about in the book, is that I found out that I was funny first as defense, because I was like in Oakland Public Schools, one of the few white kids in Oakland Public Schools, and I had two deaf parents, and they talked funny, and I was ashamed of that, and I had all these circumstances that made me feel like everybody was looking at me or nobody was looking at me, and I found out quickly like the weapon that you could wield in that system was you could either be invisible or you could be funny. And I didn't want to be invisible.
Is that why people say that women aren't funny? Because even Wonder Woman decided to choose the latter, or the former, I guess.
You mean the invisible airplane?
She would rather, be invisible than.
Rick. That's why.
Gulp, gulp, gulp.
That's the reason. It's because of Wonder Woman's invisible airplane.
You don't have to be mean about my little
No, I
joke.
wasn't being mean. I liked it.
That's what she said.
Oh, you can't press that. Hold on.
invisible.
I guess she did say that. But that's the first place I found like comedy as weapon, I guess. That worked. And then, when I was 15 and I got sober and went into AA, that's where I learned actually about using the funny thing that I'd gained as a weapon, as a way to sort of rhetorically make points. And I started to, that was the first time I performed in front of people, was at AA meetings, right? And then,
It's a great setup, actually, for a special.
what's that?
To be up there at the booth,
At the podium.
or even standing in the crowd if you're just standing up, like introducing yourself for a second.
You know that I used to be like flown, before I started comedy, I got flown around the country
To speak at AA meetings?
To speak at AA conventions.
Really?
Yeah. So that was like actually where I learned how to hone
That's cool.
a performative craft in front of a crowd.
Would
But
you
it-
have a drink before your set?
to calm my nerves, you mean? Yeah.
Just one.
Just take the edge off. I mean, I'm never going to get people sober if I'm sober. That's for sure. So yeah, there's something. And then now, now I'm a grown man and I've been doing comedy 20 years. Like it's not like I carry that actively with me onto stage, but there's no way it's not all still in the kind of the DNA of what I'm doing on stage.
Yeah, but the idea of you feeling like, oh, we're not going to win because
That's a different thing.
Yeah, that is that may never leave your DNA, but like it sounds like there's still a visible scar.
That's more imposter, kind of like the elements of imposter syndrome. Is that really is what it is. Like, who am I? Who am I to win an Emmy?
The people that win the Emmy.
Yeah.
Do you feel that they're not the who are they? Oh, they're a somebody, or are they just a person?
I mean, it's easier to think they're just a person at the daytime Emmys. I'll tell you that, because
get
often
that.
they are just a person. But
So prestige.
No, but I never go, oh, you're a fraud. I mean, I don't think I'm a fraud. I just think like there's a part of me that's like always saying like, are you sure you really belong here? Do you not feel that?
I have my things.
Yeah. We all have a thing.
And the not belonging, I do connect with interpersonally more.
Yeah.
Not being included, not having friends, etc., like that. But when it comes to, and I'm aware of the word I'm saying, and it is intentional. When it comes to my
you just
art,
say the N word.
when it comes to making art,
Yeah.
when it comes to expression and comedy, not saying that what I do is great or it's bad. It's just because some things are great and some things aren't. I feel like, yeah, I really think nobody could do what I do, and without saying what I do is so great.
Yeah.
I just like I feel special.
Yeah. I feel special too, actually, but I understand what you're saying. Like, that's more enlightened, by the way. I think that's correct. Like, that's that Rick Rubin thing, and he's been saying this a lot on interviews lately. Like, the whole point of what you do artistically, and he's a musician and we're not,
Is for self.
You're supposed to make the best product for you. You're not supposed to be thinking about an audience. You're supposed to be making the art in order because you think this is great look. And if they like it, then they like it. And if they don't, then you made something that you love, and it doesn't matter if they didn't like it.
Very much so where I think it has gotten in the way of, and I've talked about this in a different way, gotten in the way where like, you got to consider them, especially in live performance. I don't have good tools to know what they're feeling.
But according to Rick Rubin, who, as we all know, is correct about all things, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter, because what you're making is, it's not that you're making it so no one will enjoy it. It's making it from your like deepest place in order to offer it, and then at least it's a true expression of you. You know, like, by the way, I have minor imposter syndrome and minor main character syndrome at the same time, and those they should be incongruous, right? You know, like when a movie comes out about Oakland, I go, why didn't anybody call me? I think on some level I'm the only person from Oakland in the entire entertainment industry. When there's a thing about deaf people, I go, how come nobody called me? I'm the deaf guy.
Right. So you believe you belong in the niche category so much that you don't belong anywhere else.
Well, I don't know. That's interesting. I didn't think of it that way, because I just think of it like I am the guy. But you know, yeah. That's what this book is about, is niche categories. My life is a collection. Thank you very much. Got it back to where I wanted it to go.
Your publicist behind the camera. Okay, one sec. Your publicist behind the camera was like, to the book.
Let's pivot to the book. We're going to pivot to the book. No more Arnold Schwarzenegger. Back to the book. But it's true. This book is about these 6 universes, which are niche, that when I lived through all of them.
Oakland, deaf parents.
It's the 6 categories are Alcoholics Anonymous, it's 12 steps, and like the youth rehab world of the 90s and early 2000s. I've been sober since I was 15, and it's 29 years now. Hasidic Judaism and Judaism. My father became like a born-again Hasidic Jew after my parents split, and I spent my summer vacations in a Hasidic village, basically, where everybody spoke Yiddish as a first language, and I knew nothing.
Could I hear what it sounded like for a deaf man to speak Yiddish?
He did not speak Yiddish, and no, you cannot. I guess like, all right, I'm not doing that.
It just sounds acidic.
It sounds like a Jewish person.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of this. Sorry.
Raves, and I was a rave.
Oh yeah, you loved raves.
I was a rave promoter, a rave DJ, and a sober ecstasy dealer all through the late 90s and early 2000s.
And I'm not proud of it.
I'm not proud of it.
Okay.
Yeah. And Burning Man, I've been going to Burning Man since 1996, and I worked there for 15 years. I used to help put the event on. And then finally stand-up comedy.
That's only 5.
Wait, did I miss one? What did I say?
Do them again. There's AA.
AA. Deafness. Did I not say deafness?
Maybe not then. Deafness, Hasidic Jews.
So deafness, my parents are deaf. My whole family's deaf, and I was a sign language interpreter for 15 years.
I really have been wanting to get in here, not like on stage, in here,
live.
A person, sitting or standing right there the whole time, signing, and I thought it would be, not to make fun, but really I just thought it was funny to have somebody do it, and it's not, they're just doing, you never acknowledge it, so only people that read ASL know that they're not doing it right. But I saw,
they're doing it wrong the whole time?
They're just doing it wrong. There's just somebody doing it.
That's a hard job for that person, because
you have to have somebody that knows how to sign.
Yeah, but what are they
not listening to me?
They must be, they got to be, because think about what you're asking them to do. You're actually asking them, if somebody, and you're a good improviser, maybe you could do this, but most people couldn't. You stand up there and talk for an hour-and-a-half interview about something.
It's easy, because what you would do is you just be listening to what we're saying, and you're saying your version of it. Some things could be right, some things could not be, because it's still funny if we hear running and you see somebody doing, like...
You should have a deaf guest. You should have, like, Nal DeMarco.
I've reached out to Lori, what's her name, from West Wing?
Marley Matlin,
Lori. I've reached out to her, but I sent her a voice note.
Rick.
Believe it. You can leave it. But I saw a video, and and by the way, this isn't, I am being defensive, but my intention isn't to make fun of that.
Sure.
My intention is that I am doing something badly. My production is like not doing it right.
And you're saying that sometimes you do your art and you don't think about how it'll...
Well, the reason I didn't do it wasn't because of that. The reason, I don't think. I do remember the reason why I decided not to. But who knows if I would have otherwise, because I have ideas all the time.
Yeah.
But I saw a video and went viral of a woman in real life. Have you seen this? A woman in real life.
I don't know. You haven't described it.
Well, you would know because it's that.
It's just a woman. So far.
She is like at public places, people like the police doing stuff, and she calls people, cold calls them, say, "Hey, I'm a sign language interpreter. I would like to do," and they go, "Okay," and nobody did their due diligence, and she is making it all up.
She's trolling.
She was just doing it to get I think it seemed like she was doing it to get because she wanted to just get paid for something. It's a real thing. Like maybe we can find a clip.
The Mandela one, the African one, because there was a famous viral clip of like a
My Mandela one. Are you talking about like
the Mandela effect?
Like this isn't real?
Shazam and Kazam? No, there was a real video that went around of this person at an African like state function interpreting for like I think a South African leader, and then it was revealed that the person could not sign, was not signing, and was just doing. So I think that might be what you're referencing, but maybe not.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the same person.
That's what she said.
Fake sign language interpreter.
It'll definitely give you the African guy because that one went mega viral. I remember.
The one I'm thinking of is like a police chief. Yeah, this is the police chief one.
Let's see. Oh wait, I don't have to.
We'll sync it. Funny to put the sound on for this.
We will be charging 4 counts of first-degree murder.
Standing off to the side, apparently translating every word.
Yes.
This woman.
You seen that?
You know,
We received over.
Let me tell you, Rick. Let me tell you a little something.
Real quick. When I saw that, I'm like, I can't do that. It looks like I'm just referencing that thing.
I'll tell you that the degree to which that scenario is real and occurs in the lives of deaf people, not on a big stage like that, is it's painfully common.
What are you saying? People faking it?
No, you showing up to an appointment, and sometimes it's a life or death appointment. You know, sometimes you're in the ER and they're getting who they can, right? They're calling out to all the interpreters, and the person shows up and you're in a fucking acute state of a health crisis, and your interpreter shows up, and the minute they start signing, you go, "Oh no. This person isn't capable of doing this job. They don't know how to do this."
Right. They just know a little. It's like if you want to get a job and you say, if they say, "Hey, could you juggle?" And you're like, "Yeah, I could juggle."
I mean, I can go like this.
Yeah,
is that
then
what
you
you
get
mean?
on set, and it's like, no, we needed a juggler
But it's more than that.
because it's life or death and it's
It's more.
communication.
Well, can you juggle? Sure, I guess I can kind of juggle. And then they hand you flaming swords, and it's
Right,
like,
good
Thank you very
analogy.
much. So my childhood was spent in situations like that, where I would walk into an appointment.
Do you sign fluently?
I signed fluently, and I signed before I could talk.
Cool.
And I would walk in. Are you going to make a joke?
No.
Okay.
I know that with gorillas and with babies, like before people are capable of. I mean, gorillas aren't capable of speaking
gorillas
English
never.
anyway.
They
but like,
never hit it.
Early on, like gorillas and babies are able to communicate before.
Why are you
before they
putting?
can speak.
Don't put the gorillas in, because the gorillas can't speak. That's
But-
one of the more known things about gorillas, is that they don't speak.
But they do sign.
Yes.
So my point is that they actually are able to communicate with us. We're just not able to communicate with them.
Right.
Same with a baby because it's the only way adults who only speak English communicate is through the English language.
Or through language.
Yes.
Spoken language.
Spoken language.
Yeah.
Well, not the only way, but the main way.
Can I tell you the story of sign language? It's a really fascinating story. It's not a snooze fest.
Okay.
All right, let's find out. So 320 years ago, you're already falling asleep?
No.
No, this is good. I promise. I think before 320 years ago, there was not what are you doing, Rick?
We'll keep the camera on you.
Okay. Anyway, there was no sign system. There was no sign language. Nothing had been established. Deaf people in the world, if you were born deaf into a family, there was no education system that could come in and teach you sign language. It just didn't exist, right? How would you learn to write? How do you
cave
learn
drawings?
How do you learn to write? How do you learn? Think about it.
Point to CAT, point to a cat.
What is C? How does that sound?
Symbols.
What do you mean symbols?
I believe you, but it seems like you can't learn to write if you're deaf.
I'm not saying nobody ever learned to write. I'm saying nobody had a language in which they could communicate. There was no signed language. There was no system set. And so if you were born deaf, alone in a family, which is I'm making this statistic up, but 90% of deaf kids are just an anomaly that comes into a family that is filled with hearing people, right? And if you were the only deaf kid in that family, then you just didn't get language. You didn't learn, no one, first of all, there were no deaf educators, there was no system for deaf education, and so you were just born into this family, and you would figure out a gesturing system with your family to figure out how to say, like, pass the potatoes, but that was it. Yeah.
Right.
That's it. That's what you get. And so before 300 years ago, people thought that deaf people were incapable of reason. They were incapable of complex thought because they thought that to hear was to reason, right? This is, I believe, Socrates said that. Deaf people cannot reason because hearing is the doorway to reason, right? But it's not hearing, it's language. Language is what unlocks reason. Language is what unlocks communication. And when you take away, so the real disability in deafness, the real crippling disability was not the lack of hearing, it was the lack of language. That's the thing that walls you off from the rest of the world. But if you were lucky and you were born into a family with genetic deafness, and rather than you being the sole deaf person in your family, you were born and you had a sister that was deaf, then the two of you could create in the family a new language, like a language of two, right? But you would trade language back and forth and build onto it, and you would have this little mini language that only existed in your family. In 300 years ago, a priest walked by two sisters that had that luck, right? That he saw them signing back and forth to one another. And he looked at it and he goes, whoa, that is language. And he went to the sisters and he said to them in whatever way he was able to communicate, pass me the potatoes, right? Teach me. And they taught him what they were doing.
So these sisters were the origins of some of these.
These sisters were the first time, this is not the first time that two sisters had communicated, two deaf sisters.
No, you're talking about black women?
No, these were French women. Or maybe they were black French women, but I don't believe that they were. But why do you bring up the black?
You just keep calling them these sisters. I guess, and I'm also, because of the priest, I'm picturing Sister Mary Clarence.
Sure. Oh, you mean Sister Act?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so
I am not now, nor have I ever been a Las Vegas showgirl. Say it with me.
I am
a headliner.
Oh, is that what she says?
Yeah.
Okay. So this priest sees these two sisters signing back and forth. He says to them teach me. And they teach him to sign. And he wants to teach them French through sign. Why? Because he's a priest. And he's like, if you can't take the catechism and you can't take communion, you don't get to go to heaven. And that was his concern, right? He's like, I'm going to teach these kids to sign so that they can get into heaven. Which does make sense if you believe in God, that there is a great omnipotent deity in the sky that says, I'm so sorry, there's nothing that I can do. If perhaps if they could take the biscuit, I would allow them to come to heaven, but I'm God, I'm not omnipotent, into the hellfire they go, right? So he teaches them sign. They teach him sign. He teaches them French. And they start to build this system of language back and forth. Then he establishes the first school for the deaf in the world, the Institute for the Deaf in Paris, France, in like 17-something. And all these deaf people from around the country start to come.
How did they hear about it?
This is good. And I'm glad you did it. It was a riff worth riffing. So, pass the potatoes, baby. I think we should call the episode Pass the Potatoes with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So he sets up this school for the deaf, and he's teaching all these deaf people sign. But they're really teaching him as much as he taught.
It's kind of like when you adopt a dog who saved who.
That's exactly right. It's a beautiful thing. So they're learning French from him because he's signing to them in French, and he's learning sign from them, and they start to establish this language, and all of a sudden there's a language. It's French Sign Language, the world's first recognized sign system. And they would go on the road. They would work the road in the way that you don't want to. They would go out around France.
Not first class.
Not first class. This is like buggies. This is stagecoach.
Yeah.
The stagecoach era.
No.
And it was basically...
Why didn't they start a podcast first?
Podcasting is not a giant genre of the deaf. So
imagine how big their podcast would be, though, if they started it back then.
Video podcasting, I think that I could see that being very big. But audio podcasting, I would not say is people are breaking down the door for it.
Right. I'm also, pardon me on ruining this momentum. I'm interested.
No, it's cool. So they go around France, and it's like an exhibition. It would be an audience, and there would be these deaf people that had learned French from this guy, and he knew sign. And so an audience member like you would raise his hand and ask a question, like some kind of French question. A hearing audience member.
Yeah.
And he would go like, a French question like, how many crèmes is too many crèmes for a brie? Or you want to be the French guy? Yes.
How do you speak French? Hello.
You Russian?
I mean, we have some time left. Hello, what is the soup of the day across the street?
Okay, so you would say, what is the soup of the day across the street? The priest.
Pardon me.
Yes.
The soup du jour.
Much better. Much better. The priest would
Across a rue.
cross the rue. Soup.
Soup de rue.
Soup de rue. Soup de jour. The priest would see that. He would sign to the deaf people that were seated on the stage. They would stand up, grab a piece of chalk, go to a blackboard, and write the answer, French onion soup.
Oh, this was
in
to
French,
prove. Right.
that in fact deaf people could reason and that the only
Which is
barrier.
different than to proof the soup bowl bread.
Yes, that's a good baking riff. No, I
thanks.
loved it. I loved it.
And we could just go. It could be quick. It's just a little thing I threw in.
Let's go to Uncle Bob.
Telecom.
And we're back. So people lost their minds, by the way. This was like a headlining show. They couldn't believe it, what they were looking at, right? And so they started to teach these deaf people sign language and French.
This is kind of like your album, where there's some talking and performance, and then some written stuff.
What do you mean?
Your Snooze Fest album.
Yeah, I remember.
Where you said there's also some short stories.
Yeah.
They're talking and performing on stage to people like you, and then there's like French onion soup.
Yes. They would say le pube blanc, and they go, a white pube, the Stiftastor. It's a cheap man. Jewish stereotype, very true, or something like that.
For the audio only people, will you sign what you just said?
Yeah, but wait, why would that help for the? What do you want me? I'll sign whatever you want.
Just
You want me to prove it? Go ahead.
yeah, sign my favorite.
You don't have to go slow.
My
You
favorite
don't have to go
version
slow.
of soup is one that is warm to the inside, but it doesn't burn the tongue. The problem is sometimes these soups get cold so fast, so I want to find something that has a thick enough consistency in order to have it last long enough. Now, unfortunately, the people, that's it. That's great. Now, unfortunately, the people who are just listening on an audio won't know what I said because they can't see what you're signing. So that's a bit of a conundrum. Are you okay?
Can I stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back, baby.
Okay. So now people are like, oh, wow, look at this. This is a show.
Exactly. And then they started giving money. And then the institute got bigger and bigger, and they were able to give to, and people would come visit from other countries who had deaf people in their country. Obviously, every country has that. And they would say, let me give money. And they would say, no, you don't give money. Come to our school, we'll teach you how to teach the deaf. And then they started to establish all these schools for the deaf all throughout the different countries in Europe.
But aren't they different languages?
We're getting there. Yes, exactly. So they would set up their own sign system, some adopting some of the French sign or some setting up their own sign system. And all of a sudden there started to be this network of deaf schools around Europe. Now an American named Thomas Gallaudet came to France.
Instagram handle.
Thomas Gallaudet, IMDb him. He had a very American solution. Rather than learning everything he needed to know and then going back to America to set up his own school, he decided to just buy one of the French deaf educators. This guy named Laurent Clerc, who was like a mega genius. He was like the top teacher at the Institute for the Deaf in France. He said, I want him.
And is this still the 1700s, 1800s now?
Yeah, it's like early 1800s. And Thomas Gallaudet basically said to Laurent Clerc, come to America, let's set up a system.
Like what Americans did after World War II with all the Nazis.
Yes, exactly like that. And they sailed from France to America. By the time they landed in America, Thomas Gallaudet had learned sign language from Clerc, and Clerc had learned English from Thomas Gallaudet.
How? How do you learn English that fast?
Because he was a genius.
Like a lot of these Nazi scientists who helped develop the A-bomb.
He was a Nazi scientist, a proto-Nazi scientist. He was setting up
So he taught him on a ship in a couple of weeks English.
Not a couple of weeks. I think it was maybe a 2 or 3 month journey.
Okay.
And he knew enough English to be able to function in America. And he set up the first school for the deaf in America. And he started to create a sign system, taking French sign language and a little bit of this thing called Martha's Vineyard sign language. Because I don't know if you know this, Martha's Vineyard wasn't just a place to fuck a mistress if you were a Kennedy. Back then, it was an island, like a fishing and whaling island. And they had this very unique, bizarre genetic thing happening on Martha's Vineyard where like 1 in 10 people was deaf on Martha's Vineyard. And it had this weird effect of making everybody on the island know sign language because everybody either was deaf, was related to someone deaf, or knew someone deaf. So that was like an American original sign system that was there. And then there was a thing called Plains Indian Sign Language. You know, in the cowboy and Indian movies where the tribes are like gesticulating to each other and like a sign. That was not just for warfare. That was because tribes couldn't communicate. They didn't have the same language. So they made this pan tribal language for trade. PTL, no shade. And so they took all three of those things, Martha's Vineyard Sign Language, Plains Indian Sign Language, and mostly French Sign Language, and created this sign system called American Sign Language. And so and when my mother went to a school for the deaf, that was the language that she learned, and that was the language that she taught me. So from these two deaf sisters in France, to this priest, to these geniuses, to Thomas Gallaudet, to Laurent Clerc, to America, to my mother, to me, that was the journey that language took in order for my life to receive it when I was born. And I think that's a pretty beautiful story.
Yeah, and now you're an Emmy winner.
And now I have an Emmy. Oh, I never finished that story.
Real quick. What happens when a person a deaf person who knows ASL goes to another country? For example, if I were to go to another country that doesn't speak English, I would have to find some type of a connective, hungry potato thing.
Blowjob.
Do you have to figure that out?
Where is the club? Where it happens?
Are there enough similarities where they could do that?
No.
Right, you have to basically learn that sign language.
No, but I will say no, but this is interesting to people.
Perfect improviser. Go on.
Yeah, I'm trained, UCB trained. There is first of all, France. If my mom went to France, she would have an easier time. This always blows people
because a lot of the origins of ASL come from the French one.
Than if she went to England.
No shit.
Even though
England is that different?
England is completely different. It's a completely different.
Is it similar
system.
to how like Spanish and Italian and French, they're all part of the Romance language?
Yes.
So there's a lot of similarities?
It is more like that, yes. But I will say because deaf people are supernaturally gifted at communicating
without verbal language.
Exactly.
Right.
Two deaf people, I've seen my mother do it. I've seen her in the streets of Israel and other countries see a deaf person, and they have an ability to communicate.
By the way, while we're speaking of Israel, could we both say it at the same time? 1, 2, 3. No shade.
No shade. Is that how I'm supposed to say it?
Yeah, just because people are angry.
No shade.
I don't know. But what you're describing is like there are some people who are really good at charades.
Yes.
And it's like they could communicate non-verbally to people better than others. They have a certain type of imagination or just...
But imagine you were really good at charades, but also it was a survival tool for you. So you're not only good at charades, but also it's like life or death.
Yeah, charades isn't just a game. Charades is how you get rations during warfare.
Yes, exactly. Right. So I've seen my mom communicate with deaf people from other countries, and they're like conversing. They're not using American Sign Language or their sign language.
They're coming up with their own thing.
They're doing their own thing. And I, who am fluent in sign language and was a sign language interpreter for 15 years,
pick up on it.
I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Right.
They're on a different frequency.
That's
right?
their Yiddish. Just
That's
an
exactly
amalgamum in the middle of all of these different things.
An amalgam in the middle. So that's the story of sign language. That's one of the stories that I tell in this book.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if that sounds disingenuous.
No. I know that it's interesting. I wrote a whole...
That's interesting.
No shade.
Also, Martha's Vineyard had 1 in 10 deaf people, which goes to show for whatever reason that might be, unless there's literally something in the water, that it must, because there are people that it's an island, it must be something genetic.
Oh, it is genetic.
Because you say, but you're saying usually still 90% of,
it's both genetic and circumstantial. Right. And 300 years ago was much more often circumstantial because there was more childhood disease and stuff like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? But yes, no, it's genetic.
There's dormant traits.
I know it's genetic because my mother's deaf, my father's deaf, my stepmother, my half-sister,
your mother
my half-brother.
and father, that's not a genetic thing. That's probably they got together based on some commonality.
That was a cultural connection. But
family.
My father's second wife, her sister, their kids, their grandkids, all of my cousins, they're all deaf. And you know what's really weird genetically, in a way that I don't understand? My stepmother and her sister, both deaf. All their kids, deaf. The grandkids, deaf. Their brother, my step-uncle, I guess, hearing. All of his kids, hearing. All of his grandkids, hearing. So they have a genetic deafness that runs directly down the female side of their genetic line. Isn't that wild?
The way you just said, this is deaf, this is deaf, this is deaf, makes me think of that video. Do you know what I'm talking about? Swipe to it.
His hair, whack. His gear, whack. His jewelry, daddy doesn't even like to smile. Whack. Me, I'm tight as fuck.
I wouldn't describe it like that too, because this is another trippy thing that people don't understand about deaf people. When deaf people have deaf kids, they're fucking stoked, right? So they're excited.
I've talked to little people about this, and like they're conflicted because they partially want them to be little so they could fit in with a family and connect,
right.
and then also there's sometimes I guess there could be a guilt of wanting that something that could create obstacles interpersonally.
It's a challenge, but deaf people, and I don't know the little people world as much. I mean, obviously, because I wasn't born into it.
Also, aren't you supposed to say, isn't it technically dwarf?
I think dwarfism is a specific kind of little person, and so not every little person is a dwarf. And so,
no,
or
so
something.
like every square is a rectangle, but rectangles aren't necessarily a square.
Something like that. But I don't really know. What I know is deafness has this unique thing about it as a disability, which is that what creates culture is language, right? I believe this. Language creates culture. And so deafness is one part disability and one part culture. Maybe little people are a culture too. I don't really know. But deafness has this.
Clip it.
Moshe
doesn't know if little people is a...
out of context, say, and the title is Moshe Shades Little People.
And you could upload it just to YouTube, so it could be a YouTube short.
Yes, that's a great idea. Moshe, full shade, little people, thinks deaf people better. But deaf people are like, they're stoked when they have a deaf kid. And I'm sure you're right, that there's some part of them that's like, this kid's going to have challenges that I face. But it's like, it's like being born into Wakanda. It's like one of ours. But what's weird about me is I am also one of theirs. I'm a member of deaf culture, but I am also the enemy. I'm both things at the same time. That's what children of deaf adults are. We're like born white in Wakanda.
Would you feel similar to how you felt interviewing Too Short if you got to interview Most Deaf? Because other than you're probably even more than him.
I'll answer that with a story. When I was new in my mother, even though she's never been able to hear my comedy, has always been a huge supporter of my career.
Have you had people on stage signing so
Yes,
she could come?
I have. Yeah, she can only come that way.
Because she likes dirty talk?
Yeah, she can only come at one of my shows. It's rough for her. Actually, that's not true at all. My mom is one of the most, I would say, uncomfortably sexually liberated people I've ever met in my life, to a degree that made my childhood very, very awkward.
That translates to a lot of the way that Mel Gibson was in What Women Want.
Sure.
Is in a different way, makes me think of how you grew up with your mom. You saying that makes sense to me.
Me and Mel have a lot in common.
When you do your shows that she comes to, do you get an interpreter just for that show?
Yeah.
Have you thought about, because what I wanted to do with the interpreters, the reason I wanted to do that was because I actually wanted to have an interpreter once for an episode that I was doing for something.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I don't know how to do that. Maybe it would be funny just to make it up. I just as a bit. But I also think like if I was ever asked, I would always say yes. And if money wasn't an issue for stuff, why not have that? I did a show on Amazon called As We See It, and it was about autism, and something I never thought about before, because not specifically about autism, but there was a lot of disabled community that was involved in the whole production of it.
Yeah.
And even the Instagram posts, there were things that were like written just for people who couldn't either see well or might not notice these things.
Those descriptions. I am sitting here in a shirt with two microphones and two people that look identically
Why
Jewish.
not have that? And I love it. And I've actually, that introduced me to like me not being aware of the things that I am aware of that other people might not be, or not as intuitively. And I've even had this conversation with people when, and not as much anymore, because I think people get it culturally. What I'm going to say is subtitles for clips.
Yeah.
But like there were some times where like I wanted to bracket laughs or moan or whatever. And it went back and forth with like, oh, did it feel like I'm trying to say, look at, they're laughing? And I'm highlighting that. But no, like my instinct is, just in case people don't know, it doesn't cannibalize anything to add it.
Right.
So I do think like having interpreters and or descriptors or things is very better. It's also costly and adds.
But so this connects to the second part of my story with deafness, which is that I was an interpreter. That's what I did for a living. This was my last job before I became a full-time comic, right? And I'll just say that the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, they made it so that it's not costly for you. I mean, it would be costly for you to hire one to come here because this is your business. But if you were on the road and someone requests from one of the venues, I want to have sign language interpreters there, it's legally mandated that the venue provide that.
But they have to cover it.
They have to cover it. But it's like...
But it's not cheap for them.
That's
it just
true.
has to be done.
It has to be done.
Interesting.
Do you know about ADA poachers?
No.
Now, this is really fascinating.
ADAPs?
ADAPs. There are... The way that the ADA... I shouldn't even say this because I shouldn't spread the word.
Well, then maybe don't.
Okay,
I'm interested.
Well, we'll see. Maybe we'll cut this out. The way the ADA works, the way a lot of these... You remember that Texas abortion law where they changed it from... they changed it to like you can sue someone who you know is an abortion provider?
Yeah.
Apparently, that's not like a weird system of law that's established, that some laws are made for individual actors to sue people into changing, right? And the ADA kind of works like that, where if you are disabled and you walk into a Burger King and you see that they don't have the bars for a person to get off their wheelchair to use the restroom, you sue that Burger King, they pay you, and the idea is that the damages will build up enough around the country
They're going to want to fix it themselves.
that they'll fix it themselves. So that...
Kind of like when... a coach will have the whole team run extra drills if one person doesn't do something right.
That's right. And then eventually the team will start to do everything right or something like that.
And you feel like, well, I'm not just trying to skirt the system, I'm also fucking over my community and having to pay some type of cost.
And I heard that and I thought, because what happened is people started doing it kind of for a living.
Right, looking around, like
Exactly.
ambulance chasing.
Yes, they would go from Burger King to Burger
pole
King
chasing.
and say, "Where's the pole?" Right, and so and I heard that and I thought, well, this is. In fact, it got so crazy that apparently you can do it on Google Images now, and you can look for parking lots from Google Images. And if there's not a disabled parking spot, you can from Iowa sue a Outback Steakhouse.
It's
in
also
St.
a
Louis.
way of implementing civilians to police things that might otherwise not get done. That's the intention.
That's exactly that's what I missed. Because I said to my friend who's like he works for the Justice Department, and I was like, talking to him about it. Like, why don't you guys change the law?
Reacher?
Yeah, I am Jack Reacher.
Okay.
Did you not know that?
No.
I played Jack Reacher on the television program.
You would have been recast so fast. Do you watch it, or have you only seen?
No.
He is fucking massive. Although Tom Cruise played him once.
There we go.
But I really like that show Reacher on Amazon. I just finished the second season, and people sometimes say, "Really, you like that?" And speaking of Neil Brennan, I actually got in a conversation with him about this at the Comedy Store. And it's more of a global thing than it is with Reacher. But the idea of, especially people in Los Angeles, was his observation of the judgment of art. And like, you like that?
Dude, Natasha woke up the other day in the middle of the night, and I was next to her with my AirPods in, watching the pilot to Suits, and she looked at me like I was watching bestiality porn. She's like, "What the fuck are you watching?" What? I go, "It's Suits." She was like, "Why?" Like she was like, it was
Why?
like, I mean, I don't, because it's like,
Would you watch Suits?
Corny popcorn TV or whatever.
I loved it.
It's good. It's good. But it was just funny. The snobbery was very funny.
It really is. And the conversation I was talking about with Neil was that there are people that are in a thing and they're ashamed of it. Like they don't. Which, by the way, I understand you being in something that you maybe wouldn't watch if you weren't in it, or you don't love in whatever way. But to be embarrassed about hitting the lottery and having a job, it's a job, man.
No, I'm so with you. I'm 100% with you.
Oh, yeah. And then like when you compliment, I don't want to say what the show is just in case it could be deduced that people figure out who this person is, who I like, and I like him in the show. But there's a show that I really like. And I saw him and I haven't seen him since the show came out. I'm like, congrats on love it. And it didn't feel like an insecurity. It felt like a shame. He wasn't like not believing me. He like due to insecurity, he was like, really? Like he thought I was fucking with him. Like, no, that's not, you watch that? You would watch that? And I'm like, I then realized, I guess I understand why you think people might not. But I didn't, it's just, my friends love it. My dad I can't wait for the second season.
I mean, it is funny how you can adjust your circumstances to make anything normal to the degree that you can get a job acting in a Hollywood television program and be like, ugh, I know. It's so embarrassing. It's like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not
It's why you moved here and what hundreds and thousands of people are trying to do. And it's not just a paycheck. I really, really like this
now
thing.
I want to know what the show is.
We'll bleep it.
Okay. I can't believe you're saying that. I can't believe you're saying that.
Why?
because I had the same interaction with somebody from the cast.
We'll bleep it. Who? It's probably, it has to be the same person.
Of course. No.
No shit.
You got to bleep all of this.
Well, you know what? I'm starting to think, because now there's multiple people, absolutely bleeping the names that we said. But I think we can keep the show in, because now there's so many, it could be anybody.
No, it can't be, because there's only so many cast. There's like 4 cast members. It's obvious.
Okay.
I know what you're...
Then we'll bleep the show. I just know people are like wanting to know what the show is. I also want to talk. It's such a good show.
It's so funny that you had that. I had the same interaction.
Did you like the show?
I liked the show.
And you told him or her.
Yes. And the same thing. And it was the same reaction. Although I do think, and I want to, we're getting deep, but I do think that part of it is the way that the king himself, I think he's a lot. That's my guess.
Okay.
I mean, interpersonally.
The king, we're talking about the star of the show.
I bet if he was his rival, who you've had on this program.
Yeah, you're kind of giving it away now, but I'm okay with that.
Okay, just cut it all out. Cut everything.
We believe the names, but we leave that. Because then the only people who know what we're talking about are probably people that like the show.
Because this could get them in trouble.
No, it's not.
All right. Anyway, look. I think if it was that guy, the vibe might have been different. It's like, he's the best.
Maybe.
It's a little corny of a show, but he's the best, and we love it.
But what I heard wasn't about the making of the show. It was the
shame of
itself.
being in a show like that.
Like, this is for not for
old people.
Yeah, and it's like, that show is so good.
Yeah, it's funny. It's so weird you had that, because same, but not the same person.
Right.
That's what fucks me up about it. Wait, where was I? Oh, the ADA.
Yes.
Right? So
ADAP.
And I go, why don't they change the law so that they can't sue people? Because the law's designed that way. It's designed for individual activists to sue people into submission. Anyway, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That was happening in stand-up shows in LA. Do you remember this?
No.
A person would go to stand-up shows, say, hey, do you have the wireless audio? This is for people who are hearing impaired, not deaf. They're like, they have an issue where they have there's like a radio.
That's why I always, when I do my sets, I speak really loud.
That's great. That's good. You would not be sued.
But go on.
So he would go to like alternative comedy shows, like in dingy bars.
Right, who doesn't have this tech.
Exactly. And he would go, do you have the FM hearing system? And they'd go, what? No. And then they would get a letter in the mail going like, fuck you, pay me or we're going to sue. And this was happening. It was almost like an attack on these shows, but it was just a guy trying to get paid. Anyway, I say all that to say that interpreters are mandated now. And it changed my life when that happened, because my whole childhood, I would show up to a doctor's appointment and my mom, they wouldn't have paid for an interpreter.
So you had to be it.
As I say in the book, I was in a 15-year non-consensual sign language interpreter internship program. And I would have to interpret for my mom.
What book was that? Did you say that in?
Subculture Vulture, available right now.
Lower third and link in description.
I think you're going to love it. But then it opened this, and by the way, it got weirder than that, because then when I started having all these behavioral problems when I was an older teenager, the meetings wouldn't be for my mom, they would be for my mom, and they would be about me, but I would be the interpreter. I would be interpreting a behavioral meeting about me, and then I would have to do this like kind of...
And you would soften it?
I would soften it, but you can't fully soften it. You can't be like, we think the guy's great, because then my mom would be like, this smells like bullshit, why am I in this meeting? So I'd be like, well, the guy's got problems, but some charisma, we think he's a cool dude. So that was my early life.
Right.
And then when I got a little older, my mom, I was dressing, it was my first job in show business. I was a bear, I was a mascot, passing out flyers for a store called Bear Basics at UC Berkeley.
All of your jobs are jobs that if like you're creating a show and you're trying to give somebody an interesting job that we haven't really seen, like, oh, that would be cool. What about a show about a guy who, and then there's so many.
Bear costume. I used to go to a rave all night because this is my rave years. This is right either before or after I started or stopped selling ecstasy, so I needed a job. And I would go into the bear costume and
and you would do drugs.
I was sober.
Oh, but you would still, like being out late, would you go home and feel like you need to hibernate for a while?
That was really beautiful. It was a thing of beauty, and I'm glad you did it. I would stay up all night, and I would come straight from a rave, clean and sober. I would get a breakfast of a pack of Newports and a 22 ounces of Mountain Dew, actually. Oh. And I would sit there, I'd pass out flyers, barely awake, and then I would take
Pun intended?
I was not intended, but that's how good I am. Mm-hmm. And I would smoke. I would take my smoke breaks, and I would be like smoking a cigarette with a bear costume, like head, kind of akimbo, and like little kids would walk by and they go, "Mommy, the bear is smoking," and I'd be like, "I'm smoking the bear, kid. Now get out of here." Oh. Pun intended.
Right.
So my mom during that time was like, do you want to be an interpreter? They're hiring interpreters at the school that I work at Laney College, this community college in Oakland. I would be like, fuck no. Like, I don't want to do that for a living.
But how did you say that to your mom?
I'd be like, fuck you. No, I would say no, I don't want that job. I don't want to cross-contaminate my childhood trauma with my employment. And she said, well, they're paying $13.75 an hour.
What year is this?
1998.
That's a lot of money.
Probably. I was making $6.75 an hour as the bear.
I remember minimum wage then I think it was in Ohio. I think it was $5.75.
Yes, $5.75. I think it's in California it was $6.75. And she said $13.75. I hung up my paws, never to return. I didn't come back to show business until I started doing stand-up, and I became a sign language interpreter. And I worked for 15 years doing that. It was like such a cool
You just
job.
wiped your face like a bear.
And I became a sign language interpreter. Do you have any honey?
I don't actually, and I legitimately ran out a couple of days ago. I found this pizza that I've been liking that's gluten-free, and I add tons of oregano and honey on my pizza these days.
Interesting.
Still out of honey.
So I became an interpreter, and it was awesome. You want to hear a couple of weird stories of the interpreting?
What do you guys think?
Let me see. I could tell you. Would you rather hear about horniness or anger and rage?
I mean, there's benefits to both. I also I don't know where it's going. Is there anything to you offering horniness as the first choice? Or was it completely random? You really want me to pick arbitrarily?
I'll tell you the truth. You want me to tell you what I want you to pick?
That's what she said.
Okay, tell me.
Rage, I think, is maybe a slightly...
Horny.
Okay, horny. I used to make video relay calls, which means that I was on a screen. I was on I would come up on your computer screen. If you were a deaf person, you had an interface on your computer screen, and you would click to go to the interpreter, and I would pop up.
Like the paperclip that used to come up with the hands.
Exactly like that. And I would show up, and I would say, hi, my name is, or I would say, I'm interpreter 773, you want to make a phone call? And usually these would be pretty benign calls, right? I would call a pizza place and say, this Rick, I have a client on the phone and they would like to order pizza, and then I begin the call. Now, important to say, these are both video relay stories actually, but the horny one, you would call mostly boring places, but so once in a while they would be really interesting, right? And the reason that this is such an important technology is because, like we talked about earlier, language is the thing, right? And in English, a lot of deaf people aren't really savvy in English. If you saw my mother's text messages to me, you would think that she was uneducated because it's sort of caveman-y, her English, because it's not her native language.
Keep going. I'm listening.
Yeah.
I just have to turn this camera back on. I don't know why it's doing that. But please keep going.
Because it's not her native language. But so if she called to order pizza and she says, I want pizza with pepperoni, then you'd be forgiven. It doesn't matter. The stakes aren't that high if she's ordering a pizza in that kind of language. My mom has a master's degree, but she's got a master's degree in deaf education. If you see her sign, then you go, oh, I see. This person is a fluent language user. The stakes are very low when she's ordering a pizza, but they're very high when she's calling for a job interview, right? So when I was growing up, it was a typing machine. And I would call the relay service would be just a hearing person and my mom would have to type the text. And so those were the calls that I made when I was a young person, which was always weird. My mom would call me and it'd be like a deep booming voice, like, "Hello, my son, is your mama calling?" And I'd be like, "Mom, are you a black dude?" And she was.
It sounds kind of like the origins of James Earl Jones saying that, instead of "I'm your mother."
Yeah, Moshe, I am your father.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's speaking of the Mandela effect. He never said Luke.
Right, I knew about that.
Which is an interesting one. It isn't Luke, I am your father. It's Moshe, I am your
It's Moshe.
father.
It's a very Jewish vehicle. So anyway, then they invented webcams. And now all of a sudden it was a sign language interpreter instead of a person reading the text. So that made all the calls much more fluent, much more easy. And some crazy calls. One time these two guys called and they were like, it would show up a little on the field. It would say, this is the number. You wouldn't know any information. And you would just click connect. And these two guys were on the screen and they looked really excited. They were like, call the number. And I'm like thinking like, why are these guys excited? Like usually you don't get excited about a phone call. And I click connect.
It was a 900 number?
Yeah, it was like, hi, tons of fat-titted, horny babes are fingering their juicy slit waiting for you right now. Press 9 to be connected.
And you were just doing that?
And that's my job. But then I also had to let them know, you want me to sign it?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, you gotta be the message. Anything you want, riff it.
Oh, am I the woman?
Yeah.
Yep. My titties are so moist and wet. I want to put your balls on my butt, and I want to play with your balls, and I want to put them on my butt. Okay.
So I have to interpret that, but then I have to say,
get to interpret that.
I get to. I'm privileged.
Language is important.
I'm privileged to interpret it, but then I have to let them know, hey guys, I had to step out of my role and go, hey, I can't press 9 to be connected. We can't connect a 900 number because it costs money. You have to input a credit card, and we just don't. You can't do that here. And they both looked horrified. They go, no, no, no. I go, this is phone sex, and you know it costs money, and you can't be connected. And they go, no, 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 no. We don't want that. We don't want that. And I go, oh, okay.
Or did they want just to hear the beginning of it, or was it
no? They were like, no, that's not what we wanted, and I that's what I thought. I go, oh, I see, it's a wrong. Oh my, okay, this is not as awkward as I thought. The wrong number is weird, definitely, but wrong number. You guys are trying to call the customer service line at Frigidaire. I get it, and they go, no, we don't want phone sex. I go, okay, phew. They go, we want a woman to come to our house to have sex with us, and I go, you mean a prostitute? And they go, yes, that. Do you know anyone like that? Can you find us someone?
And with your background, I have to imagine. You're like, I actually could help you out with this.
But I can't. I'm bound by
Right.
professional duty. I go, fellas, I'm not a pimp. And they hung up very upset. And I still, to this day, I do not know if those two boys got laid.
Interesting that there's just two deaf guys wanting to have sex with, and they
It's kind
ask
of
for your
sweet,
help.
right? It's kind of sweet. I mean, it's in my blood to help because I'm a coda. Like everything in me was like, help these boys. But I just
Child
couldn't.
of deaf adult.
Yes, a child of deaf adult.
Great movie.
Yes.
Great movie.
Yeah, great movie.
I might want to even rewatch it.
It was movie of the year, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hear the rage one?
Yeah.
Okay, this one's good. This is maybe my favorite interpreting story. Okay, one of the rules in interpreting.
So there I was.
One of the I have to say, one of the rules in interpreting is and this is a big and important rule. There's kind of we have a code of ethics.
Coda ethics.
Sort of. But the code of ethics has a lot of rules. Like one of the rules is like neutrality. You can't ever
The way the news is supposed to be.
Yeah, but it's not. It's fake news.
Right.
And that and more in my new book. Subculture Vulture, available now, Random House.
Link in description.
So you have to be neutral. And it makes sense like why you need to be neutral. You're just there to facilitate communication.
Right.
Because you'd be tempted sometimes on a call. Like somebody would be doing a job interview and they would be like super inappropriate or sound uneducated, and you would want to help the person get the job, right? You would want to like clean the language up or like make it not appropriate. But you see what would happen if I did that, then they would get hired and then they would not have the person they wanted or hire a serial killer. And so you have to be like neutral.
Objective.
Right? Objective. The other big rule is you have to stay in first person. That's super important, right?
So people don't get confused. They're basically, you are this person I'm talking
Exactly. It's like an infantilizing reminder that there's an interlocutor involved. So you can't say, he wants to work here. You have to say, I would love this job, right? It makes things natural. That's a big rule. You can get fired if you violate that rule.
Makes total sense.
Okay? So this is the backdrop. Guy calls one day on the video relay. He's pissed. And he goes, call the number. And I call the number, and a guy picks up, and it's a police station. It's a local police station. Right. And he's like, Omaha Police, how can I help you? Tulsa Police, how can I help you? And the deaf dude goes off. I start the call and he goes off. He's like, fuck you motherfucking pig, you stupid fucking bitch pig, you guys are surveilling me, everybody's following me. And he's like methed out. And I'm doing it. He's like, you pig, you fucking pig, stupid pig, bitch, fuck you, suck my dick, pig.
And you're now
I'm loving
Are
life.
you saying it angry? Because
I'm saying
how do you know
it
he's signing angry? Just because you match his energy?
Exactly. I can tell. You can tell.
Wow.
And sometimes interpreters will overdo it, and sometimes they'll underdo it. I was pretty I was good. I would match
What
affect
a great
for
excuse
affect.
if you wanted to tell somebody something, but to hide behind the idea that you're interpreting. But
It was
really
the call
just
of my life. I got to call a cop a pig with no consequences whatsoever. I'm making snorting noises. I'm like really adding a little zhuzh to the thing. The cop, professional. Never heard such a professional. He's just calm and cool. He's like, sir, I understand that you're agitated, but if you don't tell me why you're calling, I'm not going to be able to help you. And he's like, you can help me by sucking my dick, you little bitch. Fuck you and fuck the police. Fuck the Tulsa police. Fuck you. I'm going to fucking firebomb the state. He just nothing is flapping this guy. He's just like, well, sir, I get that you're upset, but again, you're just yelling and it's not helping. And I'm just interpreting my ass off like I'm in the pocket. And then all of a sudden the deaf guy goes, fuck your mother. And I'm like, there's a long pause from me. And the cop's like, hello? And I go, hold on. I'm just getting a little bit of clarification here. I go, what'd you say? He goes, fuck your mother. And I go, all right. I go, he said fuck your mother. He said it. I jumped out of professional composure so fast, I got whiplash. The cop also, who's been unflappable this whole call, he goes, fuck my mama, fuck you, motherfucker. Tell me where you are. I'll come down there and shoot your fucking... I mean, it was the greatest call I have ever... And luckily, everybody was so upset that nobody noticed that I had violated one of the ultimate rules in interpreting. And I did get to assign another day. But that was just such a great
wild.
Call. Yeah, it was good.
That is a great character job in something, too.
Yes.
The situations to be in.
Or a great book where you can read all about it. And it's not just that. It's the history of Burning Man, raves, Hasidic Judaism, stand-up comedy, AA, all this and more. Available now.
Good.
Something like that?
That was great. You've done
Thanks,
so many
man.
great commercials, and they've either felt naturally organic or they felt
comedic,
playing in the commercial where it didn't feel shoved down anyone's throat.
So that is what the book is, though. It's a history of the world. It's my history his history of the world, part 1. My history in the world, and it's 1 part comedy, 1 part memoir, 1 part history, and it's all the parts of me.
That's good. That might actually be the commercial that we use in next week's episode instead. All right, I think that's it.
Yeah.
I love you being here. I know that we were trying to figure this out when your book was coming out, but open invitation if you ever want to. This is fun, man.
Super fun for me too.
Outside of our ventures to San Diego Comic-Con and the Comedy Store 15 years ago or whatever, and seeing each other randomly at clubs and doing like bits for like 2 minutes, I really like you and
I like
enjoy
you too.
this. I'm feeling my eyes about to start watering up.
No, I like
really
you
want to
too.
be friends with you, and you're so funny, and I feel
Thank
so
you.
connected to you.
Thank you. I feel like I really liked the last time because I felt like I got to know you, and now I feel like I know you, and so it's a different kind of conversation. So yeah.
I also feel like this is a really good episode. I just don't think it's going to do better than Arnold.
I do think it will. I know. Let me say this. I know that it will. The Emmy story.
We're out of time, bud.
Dude, I never finished. There's
I'm
one
sorry.
more detail.
Literally, I'm seeing, even on my card, I have like 25
fine.
seconds left.
Well, next time.
But if you want,
Take Your
maybe
Shoes
we'll
Off.
put
Come
it
see
on
me on tour.
Patreon.
Come see me on tour, by the way.
We have time. Go ahead.
Oh, it's very short. But so my 30% of my joy about winning the Emmy was about being in front of this piece of shit that was all stinky. I get up, we do the speech, then they bring you back to the red carpet. Now I'm really in a joy mode because now they know it's me, motherfucker. Right. I won the Emmy. They're taking singles of me. I'm like, I'm over the moon. And you slowly move down the red carpet, but there's still an award ceremony going on. So those award winners are then brought to the red carpet. And I get to the bottom of the red carpet. I've never been happier in my life. And guess who won a fucking Emmy?
Oh, that guy did too?
That fucking piece of shit also won an Emmy.
We'll bleep it. What did he win it for?
I honestly, this isn't.
Bleep it.
I don't remember. I didn't
Really
know.
bleep that.
I didn't know because I was on the carpet. But all of my joy for that Emmy was gone when I saw that man with the statue. Not true. Not true. I'm still pretty proud of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Though, because
it was funny.
Because part of what made you feel good was that not only do you belong here, now there's
I vanquished my foe.
You belong here more than him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I also have stand-up dates, so go to my website.
We'll also, whenever this comes out, we'll put the next month or so worth of dates up on the screen here. Snap.
I love it. I have stand-up dates.
There are the dates. And what else? Social.
You can find me at Moshe Kasher. Get my book. Listen to my podcast, The Endless Honeymoon Podcast, where you should come on. Would you come on?
Of course.
Yeah, it's a relationship advice podcast, and it's a lot of fun. Me and Natasha do it together. And
I'm very familiar, and I would
please come on. I would love to have you. That'd be really fun.
All right, cool. I'm going to take a Polaroid, which you guys, if you want to check out these Polaroids on Instagram, it's pod.snaps, and theme music.
Scoot doo, blabbity blue, scoop dee. Oh